This is the clash of the most luxurious SUVs in the world. In this comparison test we have here the BMW X7, the Mercedes GLS, the Maybach GLS, the Range Rover, the Bentley Bentayga and the Rolls Royce Cullinan. All of them are amazing vehicles, that's for sure, super interesting, bring a lot of luxury, but how do they differ? Which one is the best in exterior, interior, comfort and of course in driving? Let's find out together here in this in-depth comparison episode. Let's go. BMW has worked on their X7 and you have asked me, can they now catch up in the SUV segment to Bentley or even Rolls-Royce? Do they make them obsolete? We're going to find out here on Autogefühl with Thomas with the updated BMW X7 here in Brooklyn Grey. What a setup. Look at that with the extended shallow line. Here you can see then the double kidney is in all black and look at that, how large it is. Vertical fins right there and also in here in the M Sport the contrasting lower bumper. What I've done is here with the front setup, they have split the daytime running light and the main headlamps. This has created a lot of discussions. Some love it, some hate it. Tell me in the comments which side are you on. Are you team love or team hate? But overall I think a very impressive setup. They wanted to make a bigger differentiation between the X7 and the X5 or X6 to put this one here even more upmarket. Yeah, maybe also to attack the top luxury brand. Going to find out if that works or not. You wonder about the big microphone today? Well, there's a generator and some, like waterfall stuff running in the background. So best sound quality for you. Length here at 5.16 m or 203 inches. That hasn't changed, but what has changed, the wheel sizes starting now from 20 inch as base up to 23 inch now. Biggest one so far at BMW, and here these are 22 inch. Already very massive styling in these M style here. Also see the badge right there. Wow. And then the M Sport also then has this contrasting side here. Overall a very impressive look. And you can see this is also optimized for space. So especially for US customers, they're using this as a people carrier basically, or for the family and stuff. Therefore more upright windows that you really have also space on the inside. Technology wise, optional here for the 40i or standard for the M60i is rear exit steering and anti-tilt control. Gives you more sporty feeling, but at the same time rear exit steering also somewhat fakes a shorter wheelbase when these rear wheels go in the opposite direction than the front wheels, also reducing the turning circle. Very interesting, by the way, that with this new electrification, mild hybrid technology, when I'm easing the car here around and just rolling downhill, then the engine tends to shut off and you're rolling. The car is still somewhat active, but the engine is already shut off. So not a true hybrid feeling, but already some mild hybrid moments. Yes, an X7 looks bulkier in the rear than an X5, for example, because again, space also for the third seating row and so on, and for the trunk. But here with this sculptural three-dimensional tail lamp design, really nice. It looks again a little bit more dynamic, and this chrome strip here goes all the way across. I think this color here works very well for the vehicle, doesn't it? Look at that here in the lower part. Autogefühl fake exhaust police, because, well, the outer one is just for beauty cosmetics. It works well design-wise. Yes, the real exhaust on the inside. So in this case, although it's not just about, the real thing, I think it kind of works, doesn't it? What's your take on that? Overall, I think, considering this is also form follows function, it still was worked on very well design-wise. Or what do you think? Do you like the design? Tell me in the comments. And more colors for you. This one here is sparkling copper gray. Very interesting. It has some kind of copper nuances when you look very closely. Also a very cool color indeed. And this one here is frozen Marina Bay blue. The matte paint. This one looks really striking. I mean, in combination here with the black wheels in 22 inch, maybe a little bit too much, but I would love it for example here, the matte blue with bright wheels. Or what's your take on that? But yeah, this is also one of the most, screaming out colors. It's not bright, but still, like, this has a big presence on the road. And this green color is called Verde Hermes. It is special, very unusual to see such a vehicle in that color. Would it be something for you? Tell me in the comments. This is the car key. It's actually light but good quality. And then you close the car here on top and open it like this with the keyless entry and door closing sound. Ah, beautiful. Yeah, that's really nice. And then inside of the doors, also very good material use. This is also Sensatec leather red here, soft and real buttons here, everything very easy to control, Hofmeister King design citation. Also big bottles fit in this side pocket right there. And now big news for the cockpit, you see here one curved integration of that one carrier, but then screens 12.3 on the left, 14.9 on the right. Soon more details to that, if that's a good idea or not. Here's the M Sport steering wheel. I appreciate that we still have real buttons at the steering wheel, so that's straightforward to control. Then about the seats, look at that. This is also big news then for the X7, also available for the X5 by the way. These here are the so-called Sensafin seats. They're an evolution of Sensatec, so they're animal-free, but super soft. Look at that, how plush they are. The surface itself feels really great, and they also have this pattern on it, so that looks really amazing. It's available here in black or also in a bright styling. We had it earlier at a different vehicle. In the UK is also the standard to all of that. Actually, is it standard there? Well, you can get it in the UK at least. I checked the configurator. In the US, it's definitely standard, and also great choice. Moving everything forward, uses way more less resource in the whole production process, and it feels even better. So the X7 has never been that comfortable with this new seat here. This is really amazing. In Germany, it's not in the price list or the configurator, but you can just tell the dealer, I want these seats, and then they promise to get it. That's what they told me, at least. So seating comfort is awesome indeed. By the way, the BMW 7 Series, there it is called Veganza, but it's basically the same material. They just use two different brand names for that because they're different suppliers. Here, the X7, X5 and so on, these big SUVs are being built here in the US, in Spartanburg, whereas the BMW 7 Series is built in Dingolfing, so that's in Germany, and then they have a different supplier, but they have the same material quality for the non-animal materials. Really interesting. Here, headroom with 189 or 642, still plenty of headroom left, although we have the panoramic roof, and we have this command driving position here. You feel like king of the road, but without, let's say, exaggerating it, you know, these top high-end luxury brands like, you know, Bentley or Rolls Royce, sometimes you have the feeling that they're going a little bit over the top. Some appreciate that, but for me, for example, I like a more form of subtle luxury, so not saying like everyone like, oh, look at that, you know, but more being a little bit functional, and this is still somewhat the case here. Maybe not with the infotainment, but we're soon going to talk more about that. So, look at that here. The cockpit looks really clean and cool, I think. Nice wood integration right here, but of course different styling decor elements are available. This looks like modern textile here now. Here, this is the way you control the vents. And there you can have some ambient lighting, so I'm going to show you that. Rear knob still for the volume here in the lower part. Yeah, but then the thing is really with the screens. So there is no separate climate unit available anymore. I did prefer this from the pre-facelift. And here it stays always in that part. Yes, that is somewhat helpful at least, but to control it while driving, I mean, it's okay for such a solution, but it was easier before. That's one of the things I do criticize with this facelift here. And let's take a deeper look here into the software. And this to me is a symbol of over-engineering of the software. Clock 2. It took me a while to figure it out. How long did it take you? It is 25 past 8. Yeah, that's the time actually. And then it switches, you know, like in these, what the fail? Yeah, about that. But I mean, let's take a look at the rest of the software right here. It looks quite amazing actually from the visual part. However, I think it's just overblown. So OS 8 is to me too functional in a way, or it has too many functions. I love the OS 7, especially when I want to have like the consumption figure right here, and then I have to go here, vehicle apps, and then to live vehicle, and then content, and then trip data, and Okay, I'm asleep, so yeah, that just takes too much time. I don't get it. Yeah, however, the car internal GPS is still one you can use. Oh, it's a Frank Sinatra drive. I heard President Obama was also in this hotel here recently. So then let's zoom out. Here we're in Palm Springs. So that's actually pretty cool, very well usable. The CarPlay integration. And that is very well to use, definitely. Interesting thing, definitely. Let's see about the sound system. This is the Harman Kardon sound system. And this gives you a really nice, true, in-depth sound. So, yeah, I love that. Wow, that's cool. So I really like to drive the vehicle and listen to music. And at least the volume I can still turn down. And also on the steering wheel, I can also put the music up and down. And yeah, I love clicking sounds in the vehicle, right? Because they somehow present a user interface. So you get along with the infotainment system. It's fast enough, but it's more complicated than before. But what about the instruments? Then here, the digital instruments. Let's put that engine alive. Here we go. And then you have left side the speed and right side the RPM. And you can also adjust the things here. For example, the content, what you want to see here. Maybe also some GPS content and so on, or from the car internal map. And then here, this is then the layout. So you can also change that depending on what you prefer. Here I also prefer the pre-facelift layout, but yeah, you get along with this easily, so it's not an issue or something.
So what we can see here is the head-up display.
Hey, Michelle, don't steal my microphone. So
I'm sorry.
That's my part. What you can see here is the head-up display. Very nice to see. I also put it here to full brightness at the moment. And here a closer look at the ambient lighting. I'm also switching the colors through. Of course, you can even better see that at night. And I also don't dim it at night, that it looks really still kick-ass, yo. So of course Thomas Blue it would be for me, right? So not this one, but definitely indigo. By the way, what I can't show you here at the moment, because I would need web connection here for the smartphone. I don't have that here at the moment. You can have the Apple Maps actually also in the instruments cluster with the Apple CarPlay. Google Maps you can also have there, but only with the Android Auto. But at least you have then one solution each. That's also a helpful thing to have, that definitely. And what I also find cool with this car, you have separate buttons for things like a separate button at the inside of the door for the rear shades, and I can easily activate or deactivate the rear shades without going deeper into another menu. Just one button here at the inside of the door, and that's it. And you know, I can control my seat, my own seat of course from here, but I can also switch here at the inside of the doors for this so-called gentleman function, and then I can also control the the other seat on the other side. So you know, when someone gets in the vehicle and says like, I don't know, this is also a cool camera slider in here in this case, right? Goodbye, Michelle. Yeah, so
But the most expensive camera slider. So
yeah, the most expensive camera slider. Yeah, these seats are very expensive. So I think it's a cool function that when someone doesn't know, they kind of like, oh, I don't know how to adjust the seat. Like, wait a minute, baby, I can show you how to adjust the seat. Lower middle console here, you can slide this one open, and adaptive cup holders, they are also very well built. Here still USB-A charger. This one is inductive charging here. It does not have this new function, the air sucked away yet. So the thing is, with the inductive charging, it tends to overheat indeed. So I would probably rather use then the cable charging solution. And then this is also new with the facelift. You don't have the real shifting lever anymore. Pro is, it's a more integrated solution. It's cleaner and, you know, have more space in a way visually, but I do prefer the real shifting stick over this one. This looks just digital to me. When I'm in a BMW, I want to have like thing to really touch and feel, you know. This is still, of course, a real deal, but the big one to me was cooler. Here you select the driving modes and the start-stop engine, and it is also equipped always with adaptive air suspension, and you can also see it right here because you can also change the level of the air suspension, but it also does that automatically. For example, when you drive really fast or in sports mode, then it also goes a little bit lower. And then we have the split opening here for the armrest. There we go, with USB-C charging. Rear seating is super interesting indeed. So you can still here electronically control the seats, but you can still touch these buttons. Michelle can show that on your side. So what I'm doing here on my side now, these buttons here, and unlike in the all-new 7 Series where everything is digitalized and you have to slide the seats and control them like with screens in the rear, this is so easy because it's a straightforward solution. And here, that way, for example, when I move the seat to this position, I could still sit here, and then we'll see how much space there will be in the third seating row. But if I have the seat here all the way back on that side here, you can see this is the maximum legroom we get. Of course, it's a long vehicle, it's not the best usage of space overall, but still plenty of space, of course, for tall adults. For me, 1 m 89 or 6'2", and headroom here also still works, even though this is the one with the panoramic roof, of course, from the rear seats. Gives you a great view, and it's so comfortable in the rear here. So this is to me also one of the most comfortable cars in the rear here overall. You can also adjust the back part here in the angle. Here in the front we have mounts for iPad holders, and I think this is also somewhat a better solution than external rear seat entertainment, and so, because when you just put some holders in here and use your own iPad, I think it might be the best solution overall, isn't it? Also, the Sensación material here in the back, it is so soft and high class in quality. So even if just quality and feeling plays a role, I would always go for this one here. It's really the most superb I've seen in the automotive industry yet. Here, this part you can also move down for cup holders then, and they also secure the bottles quite well, and some more space right here. And now it will be very interesting what we can score in the third seating row. But just a quick remark here in the front, USB-C chargers, 2 more, and then you also have a separate climate unit, this one here, when the engine is running, and still works with real buttons. But once again, the seating comfort here in the rear is really top-notch here for the second seating row. And now this button here is to fold the rear part only, and the button below that is for the entry function. And then the front seats moves a little bit forward, therefore it takes a few seconds first. And then this one goes forward and up, and this is also a very easy solution then for an entry. Remember, the alternative to this bench all the way through would be captain's seats in the second seating row. These are also available. Then you have 2 individual seats here in the second seating row, and you can maybe move through the middle. It's quite tight though, so this is maybe the better solution. But then the question is, do you want like 2-2-2 setup or 2-3-2 setup? And this one here with the through bench has the big advantage that you can fold all the things all the way flat. I'll soon show you that from the trunk. The captain seats are a little bit more exclusive. Yeah, but maybe this one is giving you more possibilities. And here the interesting thing is, when I move this seat here forward, as I could still sit there, then I could also somewhat closely fit into the third seating row here. So it is somewhat proof indeed for 7 tall adults. Also headroom is closely but directly working, and you can see here ISOFIX also for the rear seats, so you could also install some child seats here. Good that they thought of that actually. So indeed this is probably by this solution here the best luxury SUV people mover also, and even easy of course when you're not that tall, or maybe you have children who don't need like extensive child seat but are already not that tall. Maybe something in between. This is like a good use then for the third seating row. And you also have some luxury amenities here in the back, cup holders for example, or also a separate climate unit, even seat heating for the third seating row. Yeah, but I think you gotta check the options list for that. Let's check out the trunk or the boot. It's a split gate here, and this allows us a cool picnic function. For example, you can sit down in here and have a chat with whoever you desire. It's 750 up to 2,120 liters is the capacity. Of course, a little bit less if you use the last seating row. But step by step. This is like, a small cover. You can also just remove that. The width here, you see here, is a little bit more than 1 meter or 40 inches, so that's really cool. And the total height here is a little bit more than 80 centimeters or 32 inches, so very well usable here. You can see easy storing of the things, and then you can slide them out. So for packing things, it's actually quite nice to have this additional space here. Yeah, this is how you can see how you can remove that thing as well. And then underneath, look at that, there we go. So underneath we have here a storage of that bigger cover and some more space. And this is at the moment here the setup here with the second seating row, and there are different buttons here, for example max luggage. And with the max luggage button it only works when the car is properly powered. Let's see, there we go. Yeah, has enough power yet. So then this one also folds flat. There we go. Takes a while, but looks definitely really amazing. And you can see here, this is then the third seating row. It's all the way flat. That is actually pretty cool. And then you can have individual settings here, or then max people button. And this one then moves everything up. So a very convenient solution. And there again we have the third seating row. This one you just put it up manual. Then you still have some space here left behind the seats. But overall, very well usable. Hardly we see a top-end luxury car that is so well usable indeed. The best engine that BMW has to offer is the 3-liter inline 6-cylinder turbo petrol engine. Look at that here, 380 horsepower and 5.8 seconds in the acceleration figure. If you want to go a second quicker, you could also take the 8-cylinder, 4.4-liter 8-cylinder. That is then the M60. However, this one here will be more fuel saving than the 8-cylinder, that's for sure, and it is definitely enough for this vehicle. In Europe, you can also still get the 3-liter diesel. Welcome to Thomas's Luxury Driving Lounge with the BMW X7. Here today, the 40i, the 6-cylinder, and to me the right engine for this vehicle is the most efficient one. You can go like 10 liters or more kilometers, 23 mpg US, 28 mpg UK easily. That's possible. Sometimes even better. Cruise control, straight, not too fast. Here a little bit worse at the moment because we're going uphill, uphill, uphill. But they have made this engine a little bit more efficient, also worked a little bit, some tweaks here and there, also mild hybrid integration. So going forward also in this case, the 8-cylinder will have more punch, however, so like a second quicker in the acceleration figure. However, it will also use like 5 mpg worth, or like 2.5, 3 liters more per 100 kilometers. So not sure if you want to really have that. Yes, you have a little bit better sound, it's like low frequency growling, but again, to be more efficient, saving some fuel, then of course the 6-cylinder here is way to go. And here we can also show you some acceleration. I'll just do it from a standstill right here. I'll put it to the sports mode. There's one button for that. Also go to the S shifting sports mode and go from 0 to miles. Let's go. 55 miles, and that's a quick acceleration, and that was a nice sound from the 6-cylinder. Yes, the V8 would be more growling, low frequency. That is fun. However, here the 6-cylinder is lighter on the front axle. That's of course also an advantage, and you've seen an acceleration, more than enough power. And that's also the cool thing about the X7. It is a large SUV, but still it doesn't feel too different from driving in an X5 or X6. Yes, they feel a little bit sportier, but since you also have, it's an option or standard with the M60 V8, that rear axle steering, especially at lower speeds. The SUV feels so agile and also has a narrow turning circle because of that. Really good job. And also this anti-roll control. Although we sit upright on the road, we have a great panoramic view to the front when we are passing through some great landscape roads like here. It is amazing still. It doesn't shake up at all. In the sports mode, the adaptive suspension also makes it a little bit stiffer, have more contact to the road. I have a good steering feeling, so I always wonder about that. Is it from you guys in the US plant in Spartanburg that you somehow have a better feeling for that? Because I've been criticizing BMW 3 Series especially, and some of the all new BMW models for losing the steering feel, because they have this new philosophy of making the steering wheel light, so it's supposed to make the car more agile in the feeling. Yeah, I can understand how they mean that, but I don't think so. For me, a BMW has to have a natural steering feeling, and believe it or not, their SUVs
have the best steering feeling in the lineup. It's supposed to be the 3 Series, but it isn't, you know. BMW X5 and X7 have probably the best steering in the BMW lineup nowadays, and yeah, that's really astonishing, but it's just the case, and I have a very good steering control feeling over that. So although I'm driving, let's say, the most bulky BMW there is in their lineup, I'm having so much fun here up the road. Of course, you're overtaking this Lincoln Aviator here. It's also one of the competitors. Yeah, and literally it does overtake this one because we have such a great interior build quality. We've seen that earlier. Also, the nice new Sensación seats are also activated the seat cooling here at the moment because it's already quite hot outside here, outside of Palm Springs, outside Palm Desert. What a beautiful area here. Always love to be back here. And of course, also Joshua Tree National Park. It is one of my favorite places. Just been again there yesterday. Oh, we're catching up to an X5. Wow, it's such a great race up the hill, almost like going up Pikes Peak. Yeah, I mean, yes, in a 5 Series sedan, this road would be even more fun. But considering the size, it's still a lot of fun. And we can also go back just to the normal comfort mode, and you can easily go up that here. S shifting mode turns up the RPMs higher. That's why you also hear a little bit more of the RPM. But here in the D mode, it's also just fine. You can relax then a little bit more. Yeah. But also when we are in the somewhat softer steering here, I don't have too much, like sports mode, more resistance. In the comfort mode, not so much resistance in the steering, but still feels natural. And also suspension-wise, it's fine. You can stay in a normal mode. But I think, especially here, that you reduce some G-forces on the body of driver and co-driver, I think it makes sense to go in sport mode when we're going up these winding corners here. And to me, that's the essence here also of a BMW product, that no matter which segment it is in, it does deliver a sporty driving feeling. And they do achieve that also with the X7 here. That's the cool thing. To me, indeed, the 6-cylinder, especially in the corners, feels a little bit lighter. So when you're more running straight, I mean, you're at the big intersection and then you start using the V8, hit the throttle, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's something appealing to our bodies, definitely, especially when you're a car enthusiast. But here for winding corners, I think the 6-cylinder with a less weight does appeal a little bit more. And yeah, as I said earlier, in running straight, cruise control, highway use, it's also giving you some decent mileage considering this size of an SUV, definitely. As for the roundabout visibility, it is, this in this built upright style from the windows, this greenhouse we have around, and therefore the roundabout visibility is quite nice actually. And let's say, like sunshades, yeah, it's efficient to block out some sun, but I want to have more visibility. One press of a button and these blinds go down. So I like the direct user interface. The only thing I indeed have to swallow is that separate climate control. I like to have that down there. There is one possibility for you. If you say you don't need the space of the X7, you're like fascinated by the vehicle, but the X5 is more or less the same besides the third seating row. Yes, the different siding on the exterior. Oh, sorry. Yeah, BMW surely didn't want to hear me saying that. It's more or less the same. Yes, they want to be the X7 more upmarket now, and they do easily achieve a Rolls Royce or Bentley. They surpass them with that, especially also in the driving part, So it just feels so much better. And this is already an expensive vehicle, but you don't need to pay more money to get a better vehicle. You do not get that then, So this is, to me, probably the best luxury SUV on the market here at the moment. And when there are some others out there which are more expensive, it's not really worth it actually. And yeah, talking about the X5 there in front of us. So if you want a little bit more agile, you don't need the third seating row. You can easily go for an X5. And the sofa version still has the manual climate unit, but already gets here the new Sensación seats I'm sitting on. So this could be a good compromise. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe right now, because soon we will also give you an update on the BMW X5 facelift. And see, I guess they will also put these screens in there, and then we'll also lose the temperature dials as for that. So we already reached the top here now. I'm going back to the comfort mode. I can also set in here the cruise control, for example. There are different modes to activate, for example, the assisted driving or the distance control. So depending on if you just want to have the car to reduce the distance to the car in front of you, or then the assisted driving mode. Motorway, it's the main use case for that. Here on these winding roads you see here, yeah, you don't want to trust in it 100%. That's just too fast. It's also not what the system is laid out to. It's more meant for the motorway, and on the motorway it's working very, very well. We also have blind spot monitor in the side mirrors, so all the assistance systems are not too intrusive, so they let you drive the car still, but if you activate them they work quite flawlessly, just not when we have too many winding roads. But that's the cool thing about this driving party today, that we can show you these beautiful winding roads here and the agile character of this vehicle, which is still present. At the same time, it's just a good cruiser. When it's going straight, you can enjoy hours and hours and hours going on a road trip, go see some national parks, and you always stay fit and activated. Put the seat cooling a little bit higher to stay cool in these seats here, still enjoying the plush comfort. That all works very, very well. So I'm still quite excited about driving this one.
After our initial test in the US, today we're going to take the Mercedes GLS in this new generation out to German roads, also with a high-speed test, and telling you V8 or inline six-cylinder, what's the most suitable engine for this vehicle. And as you know, all in exterior, interior and the driving experience, with Thomas here for you reporting on the GLS. You can see here a very strong front grille. Yeah, really massive indeed. Horizontal fin stand here. In the lower part, it looks like it would be all air intake, but it's not. It's closed here in the lower area. LED multi-beam is standard, so also with the special high beam function then. So for the GLE would be an option. Here it's already standard. Then you see one daytime running light right there, and a silver color for today, a typical Mercedes color for sure. So this new GLS generation is 2 centimeters wider, but also 7.7 centimeters or 3 inches longer, now at 5 meters 20 or 205 inches. And wheels come from 19-inch to 23-inch. So a 21-inch wheel, as we have right now, is a good compromise. Yeah, the size of wheels have just gone nuts recently, and I can really say, together with the air suspension, which is standard, the 21-inch wheels also work indeed. Option, you can also get the e-active body control that can then lean inside the corners, approximately like a motorcycle, and also you can move individual wheels, or we also have an off-road demonstration in our other review of that one. Very interesting. So if you're interested in more off-road or the US from the review from the US, you can also tune into that. We have it also on our channel, and we will also link it in the video description. Other than that, of course, today the focus on road driving and German motorway and the Autobahn and so on. Typical design element of the GLS is also here. You know, this rear window then here with the shoulder element, and you have the design that ends then down there. And crossover wheel arches still to keep this SUV look that would be different than with the AMG model, for example, which will be based on approximately the same engine. Not quite the one, but here already with a lot of horsepower. Soon more to that. In the rear we can see the most drastic design change here for this new generation. More horizontally drawn tail lamps, and this looks definitely more modern and also in line with smaller SUVs at Mercedes, for example. The lower part, Autogefühl fake exhaust police, because the real ones are on the inside. Under the hood, there's either the GLS 450 3-liter inline six-cylinder, 367 horsepower, or the GLS 580, here today 4-liter V8 twin-turbo, 489 horsepower, 700 Newton-meters of torque. We'll talk about differences later. All-wheel drive with the rear-wheel bias, and all petrol engines are now mild hybrid. Very interesting. And diesel side in Europe would be 350D, or the 400D, both 3-liter inline six-cylinder, 1286 or 330 horsepower.
this is the car key. Pretty elegant and also light. Keyless entry, put your hand on the outside or on the inside, and the door closing sound. Let's listen to that. Very solid. And what we also have here is the soft closing feature, magic. Beautifully at the inside of the doors, matte wood, really nice, and then the seat controls, and here the matte wood with the sunlight on it. That looks really amazing. Art Deco cover here at the inside of the doors, high-grade leatherette, reasonable door pockets. Then this interior with the dual screen setup, soon more about the infotainment. Steering wheel, left side for the cruise control, right side for volume. Then you have these buttons also for the thumbs to control the left or the right screen. Here, seating setup, different colors are available. In the GLS 450, you can pick the Art Deco high-grade leatherette, animal-free, in black, beige or brown. This would also be way to go for the GLS, and sadly the V8 is not offered with that. And also in Europe they made a drawback with the Art Deco now, so that's a big difference also with the GLE, where you can get more seating alternatives which are more sustainable, not anymore for the GLS. But most customers will go for the GLS 450 and the Art Deco seats, so it's still somewhat okay. Now let's get inside, also with the shoe tab. And remember, when I talk about Art Deco seats in Europe, the brand name for the US is usually then MB Tex. Here, sitting upright, great seating position, so really very comfortable, so you can just enjoy that all the time. 1.86 m or 6'1", still enough headroom. This is equipped with the small glass roof right there. Well, small, nothing with this vehicle, it's really small, but I mean, they have bigger panoramic roofs also for these kinds of vehicles, definitely. But still leave some nice light inside, and you can also drive with that quite fast, so like 100 kilometers or 60 miles an hour is actually possible also then without like too much wind turbulences. Steering wheel up and down, in and out, electric function, and also electric control for the seats here at the inside of the doors. So doing that while reviewing is always a little bit unpractical or impractical, but you know, you get the idea definitely, and here you are, of course, king of the road. Welcome to this interior with a very central setup and 12.3 inch. 2 times these screens form one unit, and then matte wood right here. You also have this matte wood area right here. Really like that. Very central setup, cannot stress enough. Here it becomes red when you put it on the warmer, blue on a colder temperature. The ambient light, you can also see it while we are on the motorway in the tunnel. This will be very interesting for sure. Then the steering wheel again with the good compact size. Soon more details to each of these screens. Then in the lower part you can slide this one open, have the USB connections 2 times to the smartphone, also inductive charging, but Apple CarPlay and Android Auto work via cable anyway. Cup holders here. They're adaptive and also cooled or heated on demand. That's a nice functionality, not new, but still good to have it. Then you have this touchpad where you can also control the infotainment system, or you do that with your right thumb on the right or left thumb for the left screen. You have also hotkeys, and then you can stiffen up the suspension or also put the air suspension higher or lower on demand, but that's also connected to the driving modes. And then you have this middle armrest. You can open it like this, and then you have the USB-C connectors right there and some cubbyhole. There is this, heating, for example, for the armrest, but on the left side for left arm it works well. But then here, where the handles are, this is a hardback area, and this is where your elbow would be. But the soft area begins behind your elbow, so I didn't know what I thought about that. Also makes no sense to heat the area behind the elbow then. The digital instruments look like this. Actually quite nice as for the resolution and also for the overview. You can change also the individual contents left and right and so on. And then you also can change the whole styling if you like. So for example here you can go to some sports gauges. So depending on which styling you like best. And for the middle part, probably the most useful thing is then also the GPS view like this. Either directions or the whole map, or then the map all over the place. And then we have the head-up display, which is really extremely huge. So on camera it's rather deceiving, because for real life it's for your human eye it's even bigger. And the speed, current speed, allowed speed, and also the GPS information right there in your line of sight.
Then more deals to the infotainment system, either controlled with the lower touchpad with the right thumb touchpad, or then here with touch on the inside. That's of course the biggest news. GPS looks like this, is quite responsive enough. Here the BMW GPS system also is a little bit more responsive. Hey Mercedes, drive me to Berlin. So GPS input would be also the most usable function here for the new BMW X system. But you can also, of course, do more things with that. How long it takes, it really depends on the web connection. The better the web connection is, the faster it will actually go. Then the new main menu right here is actually quite nice. If you have the option of massage seats, you can hear hot relaxing back, shoulder, activating massage, activated also in high intensity for driver and for the passenger, and depending on where you come from or where you hover it around, then usually the car also realizes which seat you want to activate at first. Ambient lighting here, of course, always full color blue, and the brightness all the way up. Again, you can very well see that here in our tunnel part in the driving review. Then, and the Apple CarPlay here is the integrations here. There comes some space left right there, and the Burmester sound system, the optional one, it's really nice, quite clear. So also one more luxury feature. And the camera system, once again a highlight, really cool with the fake drone view from above, and also with the normal rear view, and then it adapts accordingly, and also has this autonomous parking in and out function. And by the way, when you have a route set, you will see some augmented reality functions then in the camera screen here. It will show arrows, where to get out of a roundabout and so on. We also have some live demo testing from that in our US testing review. In the driving part, there you could see it very well. And now to this rear seating area, and what I've done is the following. Here in this seat here, I pulled it all the way backwards, also controls at the inside of the doors like it is in the front. These are here the individual captain's seats. You can also get a bench that goes all the way through. In the US, this setup here, the 6-seater setup with captain seats, is standard. And you pick the 7-seater, the bench. And in Europe, for example, the bench is standard, also in Germany. And then you pick the 6-seater as an option. Yeah, interesting. You can also control it here, for example, put it a little bit more in the back, the back of the seat. But here it leans a little bit backwards, so it doesn't feel so much as an individual captain seat. So if you compare the BMW X7, for example, there they have the philosophy, they put very individual, more upright captain seats for more luxury comfort, yet at the same time you cannot fold them. These have the advantage that you can still fold them. So this is more it feels like the outside of a bench, just the middle is left, and this has then advantages and disadvantages. So, you have a lot of space, a lot of room right here, but I honestly feel that the comfort of these back seats is not ideal, not the best. So, speaking about a high level of comfort and niveau, of course, you still have a lot of space to move around. But I think just from, seating ergonomics-wise, I'm not sure. I can't really say I'm happiest with that one, considering the space and the price of the vehicle. Legroom here, really a lot. Headroom, also no problem at all. And in the middle part, we have a separate climate unit. And in the lower part here, there's another cubby hole with 2 USB-C chargers. And then here, the other side, I've set to position where I can still sit with 1m86 or 6'1". So here, put it also to the back a little bit. So I can still sit here. And then I want to know, what about the space behind me now in the 3rd seating row? And now I folded this seat down that you can actually see what I'm doing. And the cool thing, the kids will always enjoy that you can just clinch through the middle tunnel here. Yeah, when you're not a kid anymore, there's not too much space. But anyway, this is possible. Behind the seat, as it would be all the way back, there's no space for me anymore. But this would be the seat when it's drawn all the way forward. And then I can squeeze myself behind it. Also have to put the head restraints up here that I can probably fit in there. And this is, really close. So not too much space left here. You see the packaging is not the best. You If I think about the Mercedes GLB, I would say maybe even have more space here in the rear seat in the GLB, in that small SUV, than here. So, I mean, it does work somehow, especially now when I have the tunnel here. I could put my leg right here or something. But indeed, otherwise there wouldn't be, need to be someone smaller here in the front of me or so. Yeah, I don't know. Isofix, by the way, at the rear seats here, so you can also use the last seating row then, for example, for a child seat, that's possible, and USB-C chargers on both sides. Oh yeah, and headroom-wise, this is actually then no problem. Trunk area, maximum of 2,400 liters or 83 cubic feet if you fold everything. Here you can even put this cabin trolley in an upright way inside. So this is then the trunk when all the seats are up. And as for the measurements, looking here, the length then, to the middle part here, there's about 53 centimeters, and to the side part, 56. Here, the width, this is a meter, classic. And you see it's wider than the meter right here. And 6th and 7th seat, or 5th and 6th seat, depending on the setup. Then you can fold them electrically. And, it takes some time, but it is really a very comfortable solution like this. This is then the last row, and then you really have already a very, very long trunk, and everything also very good from the build quality. This is a length then of 1.25 meters, and this on the right side here for this one. On the other side, you can press these two in, and these are the captain seats, and this is the big advantage if you compare the BMW X7, for example. These individual captain seats, they are not that elaborated as in the X7. As for their setup, they are more like normal bench-alike with the middle left out, but then they can be folded. This is a big, big advantage, and probably also a reason to not go for the captain seats in the X7. Here, and this is then 2 meters. In this longer, more than 2 meters, what you have then here as the absolute loading length. So a lot of space you have here, and with this captain seat setup, I think probably best setup. You can fold it, you are flexible, but still have something more individual in the normal rear.
Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge with the Mercedes GLS, and I promised you to take it on the German motorway because we tested it first time in Utah in the US, and it was an amazing ride, definitely, and what a beautiful landscape. Not the desert Utah, but more like, the Salt Lake, close Utah. And here we have the possibility to floor it out, whereas in the US we could test other things. From 50 kilometers an hour, flying start, let's go. Plop, that's 200 kilometers an hour or 125 miles per hour. Yeah, switching a lane is not a good idea then when such a GLS tank is approaching. And wow, that was amazing power of that V8 engine. Whee. Okay, that's where you feel a difference, V8 and the inline 6. But you've also seen in the other video we have from the inline 6-cylinder, it also has a decent performance, definitely. Here, of course, even more, better V8 sound. What is interesting, when we put it to this curve mode of the E-active body control and do lane change, the car really remains upright. And for such a heavy SUV with the air suspension, really unusual, but interesting then in this driving characteristic. So when we put it to the comfort mode, then you would definitely see, it leans a little bit more, like shakes a little bit up more. But still, even in the comfort mode, it remains relatively upright. At the same time, you have really good comfort. So I think they found a good suspension setup here. The curve mode is not really necessary, and it's also an additional extra. So I think you can save the money right there. With the GLE, it makes more difference. It really makes the car lean inside the corner. But once again, I feel normal air suspension, leave it like it is. Don't add extra any more complexity to it. The E-active body control has, like this special feature that you can move individual wheels and so on for off-road situations, or like this, shaking free in the sand. But usually, most of the time, you don't really need it. Nice ambient lighting here, also while driving. You can see it from the perspectives all the way around the vehicle. One of the best ambient lightings at the moment under the screen, and also then here in a central way. Putting it warmer, then you see it turns to red. Putting it colder, it turns to blue anyway. But yeah, I've set it always to blue, of course, Thomas Blue. And then, yeah, this is a really nice feature they added here. So sometimes, and then when you, for example, activate the seat massage, let's go here to the comfort settings, and then hot relaxing back, hot relaxing shoulder, activating massage, classic massage, activating massage, maybe they don't fall asleep, and you think just, why don't I just keep driving, like wherever, just keep driving with no destination or something. So that's, to me, the coolest thing about this vehicle. It brings so much riding comfort, and you don't have to think about, what's like next, what's tomorrow, and relax a little bit while enjoying this seat massage, which is really a good function here. So some seat massage you can say like, yeah, whatever, they don't do that much, but it's really cool with the different programs as well. And also when it's cold, then put it like either to the direct program with hot relaxing back or shoulder, or activate the seat heating here directly at the inside of the doors, which is also, very well placed as for the button. Here when being in the corner, normal comfort mode, also easy steering of that vehicle. So it's really one of the vehicles at that size that is the easiest to ease around. So even if you're not experienced with driving big vehicles, it's so easy to drive this vehicle. That's really cool. Camera systems, of course, as well. But then again, you have to take the length, the overall length into account, and for European roads, it's sometimes tough. You'll, I'll also talk about that when I drive this car in city traffic and so on. But overall, yeah, what a monster performance-wise, especially with the V8. I can already tell you the inline six-cylinder is also quite good in performance, and it's right-sized for this vehicle, I think. At the same time, one of the kings of comfort, no doubt. And one more time, while I still enjoy the activating massage, comfort to sport, then to Sport Plus mode. RPMs are turned up higher, gears are already lower, and when we are already at speed, 1 kilometers an hour, let's put this rolling activating massage once again to speed. Let's go. That's 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles per hour, so that's about 60 to 125 miles. And yeah, once again, I think really cool, good performance. And the car also feels so easy to handle when it is at speed. So that's really amazing. Here, lane change at higher speed, really stable, good in control, good braking feel as well. And 170, 180 kilometers an hour here, and it's really, really silent. So the noise insulation is also just superb. On the brakes, yeah, there the weight comes into play, So when you're really a little bit hard on the brakes, then you have to keep the car also in check. At some point, you cannot deny physics. And what about some city driving here with the GLS? And first of all, you have to say, for European roads, it's really too big. So when I think about parking in and out of a basement garage or something, you really have to go like front, back, front, back, front. And it's like, will I ever get out here? So yeah, and in the US at least, in the non-New England states, you have enough space also to move this beast around here, definitely. The V8, of course, gives you also a lot of calmness when you just keep it, rolling and so on, and you can keep it really at low RPM. But then again, it's not the biggest difference than to the V6. That would be more than, what we experienced on the motorway. But if you think about the fuel economy, then here like 13.5 liters on 100 kilometers is a realistic consumption value, and that would be about 18 mpg US or 22 mpg UK. And if you then think about that, the six-cylinder is quite efficient, and you can rather drive it with 9 to 10 liters on 100 kilometers, so about like 6-7 miles per gallon more. Yeah, And also the extra price, like more than 20,000 euros or dollars more for the 8-cylinder. Of course, the 8-cylinder is fun to drive, yes, but the 6-cylinder also brings less weight and has also good performance and, as I said, better economy. So, and then if you think about the extra price, and also that only in the 450 at the moment you can get the 3-color Artico seats from Works, I think the choice is quite clear then that the 6-cylinder is the more clever choice. Here these different suspension modes, comfort of course with the air suspension, really comfortable like that. The special curve mode once again when being in the city, it's not, for my feeling, not as, extremely tuned like in the GLE. The GLE leans more inside the corner, and I'll talk to the engineers and they did that intentionally. So the GLS does not give you this super leaning in the corner feeling. It's more that the car just stays upright and you don't feel it's leaning to the outside. But it feels a little bit more responsive by that. But honestly, I would rather have put this car with the rear axle steering. That would have made turning circle and also like parking in and out easier. So I would prefer the rear axle steering over this curve mode where the car is leaning into the corner, I think. Also, I think that when you have this curve mode activated, I feel the suspension is somewhat less comfortable just in running straight. So if you think e-active body control, does it make sense to go for it? I think not. I think it's not worth the extra price. I would just stick then with the normal air suspension and most of the time drive it in comfort mode. Sports mode, I mean, if you hammer it really down, like, if you hammer the throttle down, you also have a very good acceleration. Not necessarily need to go into sports mode. Sport mode, once again, also, makes the suspension a little bit stiffer, steering a little bit more responsive, but it's not the biggest difference then. So usually fitting to this vehicle, just cruising, enjoying the silence, enjoying the comfort. The comfort mode is also the real fitting one. Something I also mentioned in the interior part is when I'm just like driving relaxed like this here, left elbow here on the soft cushion on the left, which can also be heated and with an extra heating pack. That's really interesting. And on the right side then, when I want to use the heating of the central console here, I would need to drive, like this with my elbow back from the steering wheel, that I can feel the heat of this. So I'm not even really sure, like, what's the use of that. I mean, maybe, for the co-driver, but for the driver, the thing is that you have your elbow right here, and this is exactly where the hard part of this middle console is, and when the soft part begins behind your elbow. So that's a little bit of a interior miscalculation as for the ergonomics or so. Yeah, I think we can easily live with that. Comfortable air suspension, good comfort also when the road is bumpy. Steering is really soft, as you can see here, not too progressive as we know from Mercedes, so you have to steer more than with the Volkswagen AG vehicles or with BMW. It's not necessarily good or bad. I found it progressive better, but that's my personal opinion. Maybe someone else likes to have a more comfortable driving when just running straight and doesn't appreciate that it turns too much, but overall it feels quite natural and it's totally fine. I also have this EQ charge meter or this EQ power meter, so there's also mild hybrid for the V8 here. But if it's really helping fuel economy wise, maybe a little, but it doesn't make the biggest difference, honestly. Other than that, considering it's a huge vehicle, it's still fun to drive it also in, in normal street traffic and so on, because it gives you this very sovereign feeling. And if I now compare it to the all-new Mercedes S-Class here, when you also decide between GLS and S-Class, this MBUX infotainment system with this, version as it is right here, and also the control input on the steering wheel and so on, this has still the non-capacitive steering wheel, with the real buttons. I found this car so much easier to handle than the all-new S-Class, which, you more feel like being driven by the car. This one here, more direct. Like this, at some point, more automatization. I mean, if you automatize everything, okay, for autonomous driving, but yeah, something in between. Not sure if that's the right step. Another 50 to 90. About that. Yeah. That's where the V8 comes handy, but yeah, once again, the inline 6-cylinder is also a very nice engine, and especially in the US I've scored so great consumption figures with it. Must have been the missing particle filter thing as well. Yeah, that's sometimes the case that we have a better fuel economy with the cars in the US than because there are less filters installed. Now you're on the motorway, like with limited speed, and as for the assistance systems, cruise control setting here on the left, and that's so easy. Please just keep it. Why have to update the E-Class facelift, new S-Class with these capacitive buttons on the steering wheel? Looks cool, but feels cheap and also hard to use. Here, setting the cruise control, all good, all easy. Then we also have the active lane keeping assist in here. And it's not too intrusive actually. And even here in the construction lane, where the yellow markers are not usual for Germany, no problem for that vehicle. Here, yeah, keeps me really centralized, and I can really trust in that. Of course, never take your hands off the steering wheel. This was just for demonstration purposes, and I was always ready to react. And once again, so calm and collected, this vehicle. However, if you now compare it to the competitors, like a BMW X7, or Audi doesn't have like the longest direct competitor, would be more than the Audi Q7, which comes close to it. The Audi and the BMW more feel driver involved, whereas the GLS then, in comparison to the competitors, also again feels more like you are being driven by the vehicle. And this also depends on what you prefer. If you more, appreciate this laid-back approach and enjoying more like a passive luxury, or if you want a more active luxury than as Audi and BMW do offer. So that's a little bit different, unique positions. And I always say, like from this more passive or more comfortable soft approach, it's more like Mercedes is here, Audi, BMW, and then Mercedes AMG. Because the AMG versions, they're really, really stiff and rough in the riding. So they have, I always say that Mercedes has the biggest jump from their non-sporty to their AMG models directly. Whereas Audi and BMW make it more, in small transitions from their normal light performance models and the real performance models and so on. Switch to the right lane. Always nice to do lane change here. It's also quite fun to do that, definitely. Then traffic sign recognition sees it's now 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, automatically increases the speed and puts to the speed. And this head-up display is really large, so huge, this head-up display in the projection, and also quite clear and crisp. I think I remember some GLE or GLS where it wasn't that crisp at first. Maybe they tweaked that a little bit, so I'm really happy with that, definitely now. So, once again, one of the most relaxing and, on the point, comfortable big SUVs here on the market.
And now to our conclusion for today with the Mercedes GLS in this new generation. A more elegant and sporty look, I think, here, definitely with the new headlamps and so on. Stronger front grille even. And the interior massively updated with this infotainment system. This is a big step forward and great luxury features indeed. The voice input is one of the best on the market, besides this Android Automotive system now used in the Polestar 2. And, maybe in here and there a little bit better than the BMW. Some features they have that BMW doesn't have, and also vice versa. Also great as for the massage seats, for example. Definitely, if you compare inline 6 versus the V8, the inline 6-cylinder is 20k cheaper and also is available then in the US with the 3-color Art Deco seats, so black, beige or brown. So that's a massive advantage, and also then the economy advantage that you get about 8 miles per gallon more, or about 4 liters and 100 kilometers less. So the V8 was fun to drive, also quite nice in the sound, but the 6-cylinder, of course, the more reasonable choice, and it still is way than enough power for this vehicle. Although it is big, it has so much comfort, air suspension, a great carpet-alike ride, but not shaking too much, and therefore you also do not need the additional curve function. So this e-active body control, it's a very cost intensive extra, and it's not really worth it to me. Just enjoy the normal air suspension and that's it. Also the 6-seater setup I found actually the coolest, because the kids will have so much fun going in the rear and then going straight, through the middle tunnel to the rear. This will be something to enjoy all the time. It's also the standard configuration in the US. So as it stands then here right now on the inside, a really nice choice, and definitely. And this color here, the beige color, is also available in the article for the GLS 450. A very impressive, comfortable vehicle. To me, also more comfortable than the big luxury sedans. And with this MBO X generation, to me also still very well to use in comparison to what Mercedes is doing with the all-new S-Class. The all-new Range Rover today in our extensive driving review here with Thomas on Autogefühl, and we can see the new generation still has very strong front grille. This is a special color called Sunset Gold, a matte look. This color alone is 9,000 euros or dollars indeed. New daytime running light and also new LED lamps and more aerodynamics here for the Range Rover. We'll see if this has an effect then on the overall consumption later on. We will also test the V8 today. And you can see here in the side profile, first of all, these wheels here, for the very first time, 23-inch wheels are available. This is the maximum now possible. But you can also get smaller one, 21, 22 and so on. Here you can see the flush door handles go out when I approach the vehicle. In the side profile, 5 meters and 5 or 199 inches is the length. However, there's also a long wheelbase version, 20 centimeters or 8 inches longer, then also with more leg room there in the rear. This one here with the contrasting then black in the lower part and the typical Range Rover styling, upright, angular. You can still see the very first Range Rover in this design, and that's what I like about this vehicle. It's unique. More and more vehicles go in this very round direction. This one here still shows the angular shape. That's really cool. Technology-wise, not only you get air suspension as standard, but also the rear axle steering is standard. New feature, 7.3 degrees maximum in the opposite direction than the front wheels. That massively reduces the turning circle to just under 11 meters. It's more like a turning circle of a small vehicle then. That makes it so much more versatile in basement garage and so on, and also a little bit more agile. But how agile is it? What's the focus of this vehicle? In our extensive driving part today, we'll clear out more from that. By the way, if you guys wondered, does it look too low? This is the entry level niveau. Now I'm putting up to the normal driving height, and then you can also go to off-road riding height, and this would then be ground clearance of 30 centimeters or 11 inches or a wading depth of even 90 centimeters. So this is now really high. As you can see, that's very interesting, and normal to me, it looks really in that normal driving height. And you still get an off-road gear reduction and also a rear differential lock, so it is still off-road capable. Here in the rear, once again, the angular look. Tail lamps are now vertical, and soon you will also see at our other vehicle that the turning indicators are basically hidden. You cannot see them when they're not active, and they appear then. This will be very interesting, I can promise. So this one here is our matte golden vehicle. What about the green one? Now we switch colors. At Jaguar, they would call this one here British Racing Green. At Land Rover or at Range Rover, they call this Belgravia Green, named after the city part of London where you find a lot of these vehicles indeed. So the darker look for this one here. Tell me if you like it more. Of course, even more colors are available, and you can see here in this case then the bright contrasts to these are a little bit more prominent. It's one of the very rare vehicles where you can't see me when I'm behind the car. Here we, by the way, have 22-inch wheels. Already big enough, I would say, visually. Or what do you think? And I want to show you this cool shot here in the woods. Ooh, now with the daytime running light on, you can see it even better than in bright sun. And here the turning indicators. Very nice here also with the cascading function. And we also have a cascading here in the rear. And yeah, that's really remarkable, right? Because here this is vertical and then this is horizontal. Looks really unique indeed, but not that sophisticated, or is it just me? And another very cool look for the Range Rover is of course always the all-white color. Very famous, of course, traditionally for customers in the Middle East as well. And when it's white, you can also see that here the greenhouse, all blacked out, really creates this contrast for that flying roof, so to speak. Here, by the way, also 22-inch wheels. And among the most sold colors will once again be black. And this one here is also special because this is the long wheelbase version. 20 centimeters or 8 inches more in length, and that is all wheelbase. And you see, well, not too much different from the exterior. It's really like this here, you know, this, or then you can see it here. This is then the additional length it has, and it has an immediate effect on the legroom because of the 20 centimeters or 8 inches, 19 centimeters goes into the legroom. And we'll see the comparison later on in the interior part. When I'm approaching the vehicle, these flush door handles automatically come out. There we go. Thank you for listening to me. And then soft close is also a standard here, but I prefer that cool door closing sound. Ah, that just sounds lovely. I would actually ignore the soft close just to hear that. So then, inside of the doors, here in the bright side, and I love this matte wood. You feel the matte wood. Here it also very cool door pockets. This is a little bit placed, you know, lower and hidden. When you close the door, you hardly see the opening and closing function. This is the autobiography interior, and with high floor mats, so not super clean, but it's hard here in this off-road situation. Then here steering wheel with a nice dual tone, and the seats, however, how they look like from the form, and look at that here. This is the animal skin leather. Oh, it looks old and like, you know, granny's sofa. I recommend the new animal leather free interior with, on the inside, Ultra Fabrics it's called. This is a high-grade leatherette. On the outside then is so-called quadrat fabric. That still has some wool share, so it's not completely animal free, but almost. And the Ultra Fabrics, that's, by the way, a very interesting thing. So if people think, oh, wait a minute, no, animal skin is top of luxury. It's actually not. This Ultra Fabrics is among the highest grade leatherettes, and the most expensive leather in this world is a leatherette used on yachts. So on the most expensive boats, the Ultra Fabrics company is also producing for yachts, because on the outside animal skin would rot anyway, and this is now being applied and also to cars, and it was a better and softer and more premium seating experience. We had it in our studio episode. Besides that, ergonomics of the seat is good. You have this command driving position, that's how they call it, Range Rover, and with 1.89 m or 6'2" here, a lot of headroom still left. We do have a panoramic roof. There is this, turn on the ignition first, there is this shade first. Oh, now it's beeping all the time. So turn off the ignition now that the beep is not annoying you. Here now the opening of the panoramic roof leaves a lot of nice air in. Yeah, you have a lot of space here in the front, that's nice. Then the car also comes with active noise cancellation. For this generation they worked on the noise insulation, but also if you pick the sound system we have here in this high trim, the Meridian Signature sound system, that one automatically comes with active noise cancellation. And in this case it works with speakers that are inside the head restraints, both passenger and driver, and also in the passenger side. You also get, for example, GPS guidance then via the head restraint, that you have it a little bit closer. And now it's a very interesting thing with noise cancellation, active noise cancellation. We had it in a couple of vehicles, Ford Edge for example, the Mercedes S-Class Maybach. And to me, passive noise cancellation was always better in vehicles. And the active one, you somehow felt like there's like a vacuum next to your ears, and it's like really unpleasant. It's silent but unpleasant. Here, I already tell you right now, because we can talk about in the here now and later on see the effect on driving. I can already tell you right now, here it's great. It's awesome. It's maybe something to do that the speakers are kind of like here who are doing the noise insulation, not somewhere else, the noise cancellation. And it's really, it adds more silence to the car without having this vacuum effect. So here really the active noise cancellation on spot, and that makes here the all-new Range Rover one of the most silent cars overall on the market. From the inside, of course. Not that V8 on the outside. Oh well. Imagine you bought a car for 175,000 euros or dollars. And then you get this key fob. Seriously? Interior overview, a new clean setup. This screen here seems a little bit attached on it, but here you can see Apple CarPlay integration, Android Auto, both wireless.
really very large. Zoom deals to that very interesting screen. Then you can see here this typical Range Rover setup here with this dual glove box. That's also a unique feature as always. On the left side with the steering wheel, very large, a mix of real buttons and capacitive BS, however, with a nice feedback. Soon also more to these digital instruments. In the lower part here we have still real climate dials. This is also notable to take a closer look at that. And then in the front, inductive charging pad, USB-C charging. Here is the terrain select. This is where you can select your off-road driving modes. And then cup holders, really large. And here, yeah, very well attached with a cooling box underneath. Screen details, you either have this home screen or you have this smaller icon view. There you can also access the car internal GPS even if you connect to Apple CarPlay or Android Auto wirelessly. And this is also decently responsive indeed. It's nice. And then here when you are CarPlay or Android Auto connected, then it switches then here to this map. And what a huge integration right here. And we also have the Meridian signature sound system in here. And this delivers a very nice sound. And indeed even more, the louder you put it. Now at this moment, you don't hear so much around, but when you put it louder, then it increases also from that surround sound. Really interesting. Other than that, we also have some other nice menu features. For example, here then you can access the height, driving height or so. Also other drive functions. Very notable is the camera. Here you also have this off-road camera. You can see the wheels left and right, that you don't damage them. That's actually pretty cool. The normal on-road camera looks like this. You can have this 3D view and go to certain places or go around the vehicle. That's very impressive indeed. Yeah, or have this. It is a really cool thing you can do it, but you also have like the normal rear view camera if you like it that way. And you can also switch to this transparent bonnet feature. You can see here, this is the live image, and then underneath the bonnet you will get let's say like 1 second, 2 second delay. There we go. So this is like kind of like the old image, but still I can see if there's a rock underneath the car, and then that I don't damage the wheels from the inside. Really cool with the climate control. It's lovely still to have a manual dial in here. And they had this, clever function idea, because here when you press it, you can control seat heating or seat cooling. When you lift it, so pull towards you, then you have the vent strength controls. You still can control everything manual and quite intuitively. I like that they kept the solution, and also then with the second one for the passenger, or you can always just sync it. This part here is high gloss black, capacitive, but you at least have some, like some kind of feedback there as well. But yeah, the middle part is not my favorite one, but I really appreciate that we still have these dials. The normal back mirror can be switched to this digital one, for example, when luggage is stacked up all over the place. And then here you can actually also change the brightness if you're driving at night or something, and you can also change the height. The angle of the digital instruments is not ideal, like in the Mercedes EQS. More upright would be better, I think. However, they're still clear to read, and also have the shade in the top part, so that's actually fine. You can have this map there in the middle, but you can also switch to other options and other display layouts. That does take a while, to load. Here, for example, there's a map view where you have it full screen. Head-up display usually shows speed and allowed speed. Hey, there's the other Range Rover coming. And you can also have some GPS information if you have a route set in there. A nice spot to see the ambient lighting is definitely here in that glove box area, and you can pick different colors, so that's actually quite fancy. Nice detail here, the illuminated seat belt holders. Rear doors are also soft close here. Then inside, same design as in the front, with a nice bright wood. And then with this button I can switch if I just control the left window or the right window, or both at the same time. So for example, when I here now either lower the windows, here also dual insulation glass also at the rear, it also does the same here on the other side. And when I lift it, then goes back up, and I can also apply then both shades at the same time, also come up here electronically. Really nice. you can already see it right now in that short wheelbase version, because the seats are all so voluminous, there's not so much space left. You can also electronically control the rear seats. So for example, you can put them longer forward there, but it doesn't make too much sense because you don't have too much legroom anyway. And you can also change the angle right here, and I'll do it all from the inside of the doors. But how's the comfort actually? Oh, this is now a sleeping position. So not too much rear legroom left. Considering the length of the vehicle, the amount of legroom that is left here in the short wheelbase version is, yeah, it's really bad, I have to say. This is the lying back position here. You can also, of course, put it a little bit more upright. So indeed, if you want more rear legroom, you have to go for the long wheelbase version. In the middle part, it's also not that good to sit on. It's more thought for two tall Ls in the rear. This is, yeah, it's just a weird situation in here when you're sitting in the middle part actually. What is more the useful sense of that? And then here again, they do everything electronically, and I'm not sure if that's really the best solution. And if it's all bringing much more comfort, it also takes ages until these things happen. And sometimes you really think like, okay, why is that? For example, now and again, when I want to put it back, you have to use this screen here, and then it goes back like this. And once again, la 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 la, takes time. And for example, here on the other side, there's also then a button to raise this middle head restraint. There we go. And just listen to that and see again how long it takes. I have to hold this one. Yeah, I have to hold this one that way. And yeah, I really don't understand. Is this really bringing more comfort or luxury to the car when you do it like this? Instead of like doing the manual just, and that's it? We would like to hear your opinion on that. And it goes even worse. I can show it to you. First of all, here there's now this cover where you have space for your smartphone, but underneath there's charging. This is not inductive charging in the top. And also here, you see this cover here? I know, I feel the cable is behind it for that, but I don't know if that's really the best solution. And then you think about like, what is this here? This is actually then, I have to hold this button then. Seriously? This is, it's almost comedy, I really have to say, because now these are the cup holders. And that took me a minute, and yeah, then that way they close again. Are there customers who found these features cool when it takes a minute to open the cup holes? Because, hey, it's electric? What do you guys think? And I have another idea for you what you can do here on that rear bench. At least you know what I mean when you hear that sound here. And now the long wheelbase version, you remember, additional 19 centimeters or almost 8 inches than in the legroom more. And you can already see way more space indeed. The doors also a little bit longer. And you see, when I got into the other vehicle, you know, I was almost at the seat, and that was indeed this difference here. So if you're frequently driving with tall passengers in the rear, that's of course then way to go. Let me see if everything was really in the rear. Oh, not even. Let's see. That is then the most backward position. But this is then, in this case, I can go more forward with the seat. That is actually possible. So then I have just a longer seating area without compromising on the legroom. So that's definitely more comfortable. You can also get this rear seat entertainment. Basically looks the same as in the front. And also to the other seat here. Yeah, this is just more spacious than overall. So I would like to know from you, if you would go for Range Rover, would you take the long wheelbase version? Trunk area, you have to find the buttons here, and this is a cheap haptic feeling indeed. And also here on the top part here, this button with the rubber, frame around. When the car is so expensive, it has to face, also these meticulous tests indeed. What I love about this vehicle is here that you can put down this additional bench. We know that from the BMW X5, X7, but it has been a Range Rover feature, of course, at first and for a very long time. It's just lovely to sit here and also have a picnic, for example, with your partner. That's really cool. The width here is a little bit more than a meter or 40 inches. That's cool. And the normal trunk length to, you know, where it ends right here. It depends on, you know, how close that bench then is when I move to the ground. Then it's also here 1 meter or 40 inches in the normal length. And you can do, let's say, really funny stuff with all these things here. For example, raise this one here. This is just, you know, that it closes like this. Okay. But then there's this latch here you can release, and then you can fold up like this. You have more space underneath. That is possible. Then actually you have to close it firmly. Then you have this, and this makes a backrest then for the picnic seat area, like this. You can lean against it a little bit. You have to press down these again to put it back, to put it. Come on. Seriously? There we go. So, and now there is another solution to, let's see, yeah, there we go. So, and this is a place to secure luggage here, but also you can see here that the luggage that is back there is secured and doesn't fly all over the place. So this is, yeah, maybe, I don't know, maybe a little bit complicated, but at least you have the possibilities. And now it gets also exciting because on the right hand side here we have this control unit. And first of all, this top part here, this is actually electronically controlling that top cover. So you see here, it's also being done automatically. And once again, a solution of, can it be just easier? Does it have to be electronic? I don't know. And also, look at that. When I press it here, look, that whole thing moves. I'm not sure if that is really, you know, suitable for such a pricey vehicle. What's your take on that? And then when I push down these buttons, then you see actually, then the whole seats are being folded. It sounds like you're on the roller coaster, and you know, you're on the top on the roller coaster before going down, you know what I mean? And see here, these seats here, there are different configurations for seats, of course, are available. 7-seater configuration for the long wheelbase version as well. And here then the total length is about 2 meters or 78 inches, almost, a little bit less, but you see here, it really raises up to the sky. Under the hood, this is the engine I want to show you. This is the 4.4 liter V8 by BMW. They put it here in the Range Rover, 530 horsepower, 4.6 seconds is the acceleration figure, so called P530. And that's the cool naming system at Jaguar Land Rover. P or D and then the horsepower figure, that still makes sense in contrast to the other manufacturers where you don't even know what the naming of the engine is supposed to mean. Other choices would be 3 liter 6-cylinder diesel or petrol. Based on the latter one, also plug-in hybrids. And in 2024, they will be the all-electric Range Rover. Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge, to the luxury driving lounge today with the all-new Range Rover. And the first thing that comes to your mind when starting with a drive here, first in the city, soon on the motorway, it's so smooth, it's silent, it's super silent. You hear nothing from the outside world, absolutely nothing. So looking forward how it will be when we drive it a little bit faster very soon, but so far, wow, very sophisticated. The air suspension is set on a very soft note. That's what I really love about the Range Rover. You get more and more air suspensions on the car market that do deliver you also good comfort, but considering it's an air suspension, they're often just too rough, you know, although they are air suspensions. And to me, this is here like this floating feeling. This is what air suspensions are all about. So this is directly at the start of the review. Actually, my favorite thing about the Range Rover. It was the same thing and it still remains the same thing. Great noise insulation, and especially in this new generation. And now you have really very soft air suspension still. That's lovely. However, now in the dynamic mode, it's a little bit stiffer, but still when I'm here steering around, this does not convey sporty driving fun at all. So this is not what this car is supposed to be. And I think that's totally fine, you know, when they say, hey, this is our setup here with the soft air suspension, this is totally fine because this sets it apart from the competition. A BMW X7, for example, will deliver you great driving fun, although it's a huge SUV, still delivers comfort as well. Yes, also the Mercedes GLS, for example, also better driving dynamics, maybe not as good as with the BMW. And when you think about like an Audi Q7, Audi Q8, for example, not direct competitors, but this one also delivers great driving dynamics, for example. But here really everything set on a note to be relaxed and smooth. So here, when you go for the Range Rover, you have to be there's another Range Rover letting me in. Thank you. So you have to be sure about, you want that floating drive experience. You do not care about driving dynamics in an SUV. You want the sophisticated luxury experience. And we switched here now to the motorway. And actually, you know, when I'm in the dynamic mode or in normal mode, it doesn't make too much of a difference. You can also press this button in, and then you're in this auto terrain response mode. There's the other Range Rover going. I don't even feel the difference between city, road and motorway, noise insulation wise. Thomas B, you hear anything else?
Very, very silent.
Yeah. So Thomas B agrees. You might think, oh, it's just silent in the city. No, it's not. Here on the motorway now, trucks around us, everything, speed not too high yet, but really very nice. We have capacitive buttons on the steering wheel, #capacitive BS, but some that are still, you know, real touchable. For example, here for the cruise control, when I just increase or decrease speed, that's good, and that's somewhat also easy from the handling. So I'm actually fine with that. And here I can just set it on cruise control. It's also the adaptive cruise control, keeping the distance automatically, and that's it. And also, if I want to have the automatic steering active or not, is also here. And then also, you know, with the nice feedback. Let's see, traffic sign recognition. Yeah, works. Now sets to 80. Takes a while to reduce the speed. It might have been too late for a next speed camera or something, but does it? So no, actually. So car did realize that there's a new speed sign, but did not adjust the speed actually. Okay, that's strange. But then let's test the active lane keeping assist here. So here, so far so smooth. Now changes to 100. Let's see if the speed is being adapted. Nah, it's not doing it. Not doing it. So it has this traffic sign recognition, but it does not adapt the speed to it, at least not in this vehicle. So, and here, let's see, we're keeping the lane in the middle. It's actually, keeping it very smooth. So active lane keeping assist here seems quite good actually. And I mean, once again, it's such a relaxed experience. You know, once again, in a roundabout, you see long steering wheel that comes from that off-road character of the vehicle. When off-road driving, it's good when the steering is not too direct, because then the influence of the ground underneath you, it might, you know, like shake up the steering wheel. You have like a stone there, and then suddenly you get like the kicks in the steering wheel. That's why off-road focused vehicles don't react that much from the steering. So that's also okay heritage-wise. But you see, once again, when you're on this roundabout, you feel like, I don't need to be in there right now. Whereas, for example, with the BMW X7 or with the big Audi SUV, it's like, yeah, I want to be in that corner, and the next situation I want to be in might also be the corner, and I'm totally fine with that. Here it's more like, hey, I got this 400 miles highway to cover, and it's going straight and straight and straight, and I just want to relax and just want to let the air suspension do its thing. Then the Range Rover here is right there for you. And yeah, we have a great view now to the front, to the same new model, a little bit different color, but there you can once again also see how the braking light, the top one there, and also then on the side, the very slim vertical one. So really good coincidence that we have it then here right in the front of us. Most of the speed and so on, I do check them with the head-up display. On the left side, I also have the GPS running in the digital instruments. That's indeed helpful, especially right now, because I didn't want to put on the GPS right here. I want to leave this 4x4 info, because when I put the GPS on here, I mean, I can show you how it looks like, but it's fine to us for our eyes. But on camera, on that action cam, There might be some, like scanning effect, from the shutter. So that's not for your human eye. It's just on camera actually. So that looked weird. I rather want you to have, this screen then definitely. One of the new crucial things is that rear axle steering, 7.3 degrees maximum of the rear wheels turning in the different direction than the front wheels. And that is very helpful. So when we're getting out of the parking lot, for example, it's so easy to do then. And especially at low speeds, it feels more agile, but not in a sporty way, but more in a easing the car in and out of. There's a green Porsche in the middle of the road. Oh, interesting, beautiful car. So more in a way of easing the car in and out of the parking lot, for example. Narrow basement garage. Super helpful feature, and even standard. That's of course really cool. This dynamic response pack is included in the higher engine trims here also, and that makes the car less shaking up in corners. And you can probably buy model year 2024 or something they said, or 2023, then also get it for the lower engine specs probably. But it's not a crucial option because this car does lean in the corner because the air suspension has a soft setup. And once again, that's totally fine. That's what I also kind of expect of this vehicle. The rear axle steering to me is the best thing that comes new to the Range Rover, which increases the everyday driving life experience, makes it just easier to handle, and it feels like driving it with a shorter wheelbase. And that's also the thing about wheelbase. There is this long wheelbase version available too, and the difference in driving will in this generation be less significant, because when you have the rear axle steering, once again, it feels like the wheelbase would be shorter, and then also that difference between short and long wheelbase is being diminished a little bit. So you'll be also quite fine with the long wheelbase version then. Might be interesting if you want to go for that 7-seater option, or if you just want to have more legroom in the rear. Depends also on the market internationally where it is actually more important. So I think the new Range Rover stays true to its original heritage, definitely, and I think it's a good decision to leave it that soft from the air suspension. Delivers a great luxury driving experience. Is it worth, now as it stands here now, 175k? That's therefore a tough one. And also if you think about the competition, where this one here is rather even more expensive, driving wise, I would say it is not justified that this one here is even more expensive than the competition. It doesn't feel more elaborated or sophisticated. In driving dynamics, it does lack a lot. Are the other ones therefore less comfortable? Wouldn't say so. No, they don't have the very soft suspension setup. But on the other hand, for example, I feel that the other manufacturers, for example, offer better seat ergonomics, from the pure ergonomics way of the seat. Yeah, that's the thing. Interesting, definitely. As for the engine, this is here the BMW engine, the 4.4 liter V8. And in the Range Rover, it scores 4.6 seconds, 0 to 1 kilometers or 0 to 62 miles an hour. Whereas in the BMW X7 with the very same spec, it's 4.7 seconds. Well, not too big of the difference, but now there's no one behind us. We can show you some more. Let's go to that dynamic mode once again, and let's do a kick down, or maybe we can even do a short standstill, or maybe like from 20 kilometers an hour. Let's accelerate from 20 to 80. Plop, that's it. Yeah, really nice. And I'm not sure if you could see that on camera, but since the suspension is so soft, it lifts in the top. So you really feel that also while accelerating, that the whole car lifts in the front. And that's also, by the way, why originally, especially sports cars, they are all rear-wheel driven, because It's just physics that while accelerating, the weight shifts to the back of the vehicle, and then you have more traction at the rear of the vehicle and need exactly the power applied right there. And here this permanent all-wheel drive also has the rear wheel bias. That's also very important to that, and yeah, definitely very good from that engine here, the power. However, as for the fuel economy, that's a tough thing to swallow here. So we've been driving really, really calmly. So this was one acceleration now, but before that we were like driving ideal conditions for a low fuel consumption. And at this moment we are rather towards 18 liters on 1 kilometers. That will drop down probably a little bit more when the more we go. But that's like, is it like 15 mpg or something? And this, I don't even have this number in my head because we never have such a high fuel consumption. The thing is that with on longer trips in the US with cruise control and so on, with the BMW X7, I remember I used some 14 liters on 1 kilometers, so less than 20 mpg possible. So it seems that the Range Rover here is more fuel consuming than the X7, at least for the first impression now. Whereas when I had then the comparison, the six cylinder with the BMW X7, by the way, you feel the weight. I'm getting off the motorway here. With the 6-cylinder, there was like 3 or 4 liters on 1 kilometers difference, and you could, score like 5, 6, 7 mpg more. So yeah, the 8-cylinder is really fuel consuming. The thing is, why would you go for the 8-cylinder in this car here? Well, if you don't want the Range Rover or Land Rover engine. So if you want that BMW engine, if you trust more in the BMW engine build quality, then you would get this one. And yes, we all know that reliability issues is something that Land Rover, Range Rover and Jaguar, they have been struggling with that, especially in the past years. There's no denying the fact, and also if you look at reliability rankings and so on. So that might indeed be the main, not because you really need the power in the car, more about the, hey, I'm buying this car and I really want to keep that car for a longer period of time. If you're going just for a short lease, you might think, hey, I save the money and don't get the one. But if you intend to keep it and want more reliability, I would probably say now, even though, I can't say what happens with this car in the future, but when we compare what experience we so far have, is that the BMW engine will probably be a little bit longer lasting than a pure Land Rover built engine indeed. That's not what I think, but when we look at reliability figures and stats and so on. And we had this discussion also before. Here now, once again, let's go to the dynamic mode because I want to show you a little bit more dynamic driving, if that's possible. It's a really nice road here, and here we can also accelerate out, use that V8 power, over 500 horsepower, really nice. Do you hear that? Where's that rattling coming from? Was it? Not sure. Was it the screen maybe or something? Here. Oh. I didn't do it. Yeah, there was similar problem, was fixed lately a little bit better in the recent A7 I had. Where we were this huge Audi dashboard in A6, A7, A8, where they also had this squeaking problem when they have like these huge plastic surfaces somewhere, and then they sometimes, wind a little bit, and then they create these rather strange noises. Oh, birds. Is it gone? There it is. Big car, small birds. We take respect. So, and this is actually quite nice to drive also these small roads, but once again, you have to stay in that rather calm mode, and then it's actually fine, and you do not expect the driving dynamics, and then it's actually fine. But in that way here, we can have a lot of different driving aspects just for you. Beautiful roads, and here in Austria, near Salzburg. By the way, do you know like the city of Salzburg? Direct translation would be Salt Castle. It's funny, right? So, and now let's go here into the shadows. Yeah, it's a really nice ride in here. Now that V8 power sets in, accelerate it out. Beautiful, really nice. Yeah, that engine really is some nice thing to drive, but fuel economy wise, I know it's not good from the X7, but what it consumes here in this vehicle is it's really off the scale. So I didn't believe that in 2022 we still have new driving events where we have engines that consume that much fuel. Really didn't expect that at all. Wow, really strange. Now a situation where, okay, yeah. That is sometimes the thing. When you have a bigger car, people let you in. It should be the other way around, right? You know. So here we go. See here, 90-degree bend. Yeah, I don't have to turn the steering wheel too much, but the feeling in the steering wheel is actually not that natural. So yeah, here, first off-road feature. So the thing is, you hardly have a feeling for the car. Oh, this one here is, when you steer that vehicle, it feels like steering through thin air. There is no feedback from that steering whatsoever. I have no idea. When I close my eyes, I would have, you shouldn't do that, of course. Yeah, that's German humor. So when you don't know what's happening on the road, whereas when you have, especially for example, a Porsche or something, a Porsche Cayenne would then be the correspondent to that more or less. You exactly know what's happening on the road. You exactly know where the wheels are. But when I'm steering here now, it could be like steering-wise, I'm on a parking lot and just easing the car in and out. There is nothing happening with the steering wheel in the feedback, even not here in the dynamic mode. So even though when they don't have this dynamic focus here in the vehicle, it should still offer me some kind of feedback that I know what's happening with that steering wheel. At least that's, that's what I think. So, but definitely super interesting experience here on the road so far. And now some off-road driving. We pick here different off-road modes. Grass, gravel and snow is for this case then enough. In here this wading mode that we could score the maximum ground clearance of 30 centimeters or 11 inches. Here we don't need that one. What we can also do is actually here also in this grass mode, put the car a little bit higher here in the off-road mode, then the ride height is being increased. That's quite cool. And the thing is, when you increase the ride height, of course you lose suspension travel to one side actually. You gain it to the other one, but when you have to think about the vehicle can work less, in optimum case. So putting the car higher doesn't mean it gets less comfortable actually. So if you do not necessarily need it, then also it doesn't make so much sense. But here, of course, it's just for safety then that you actually don't hit anything on the ground and so on. And what's also interesting is that we can take a look at this camera system. This is also this off-road view where we can see how the wheels are being turned. Here, this is then this transparent hood system. I can see what's underneath us, and also if we damage something here from the wheels and so on. And here in the higher mode, of course, it's a little bit rougher than in the lower mode, but overall the thing is about the Range Rover. Here now, in the off-road situation, this rather soft steering wheel makes sense, doesn't get turned all the way around, and when something in the, like ruts or something are moving the wheels, moving the steering wheels. So here it's kind of more relaxed to have this very, very soft and almost feel less steering. On road driving, where this car is primarily being used, it is indeed a hindrance. So I'm not sure if I would take that then for that. So yeah, and what is also good is that this very soft suspension, that is helping us also in off-road driving to make off-road driving actually quite comfortable. So just as a comparison here, let's put on the normal ride height, because here there's no just a gravel road, and indeed I feel there's just a little bit more comfort, in a normal driving height, because the suspension can really work equally in both ways actually. So I think the main thing is really you have this good comfort while off-road driving if you want to use it for off-road driving at some point, and it can, it is capable with 30 centimeters of ground clearance in the maximum driving height position, and also there's 90 centimeters of wading depth where you can really go through water. The question is really, who would do that with a Range Rover? Would you do that? Then put me that in the comments, and maybe you own a Range Rover and have done some off-roading. Would be looking forward to that, definitely. Touch screens or capacitive buttons might look modern and have a lot of functionality, but they will never replace this feeling. Lovely. That's the stuff. One of the most exclusive SUVs now comes as a sporty version, the Bentley Bentayga S. Here with Thomas and Autogefühl. Let's go. Of course, the Bentley looks strong from the front, but here in the S version, all blacked out to create a more sinister look, to be that sportiest version. Even though this won't be the most powerful one engine-wise, it will be the sportiest one. Why? Let's dig into the details. And beautiful retro-style round headlamps and turning indicators are here right next to it. The length at 5 meters 13 or 202 inches. Pretty massive asphalt length. The base platform is shared with the Audi Q7, the VW Touareg, the Porsche Cayenne, Audi Q8 of course, and yeah, the Lamborghini Urus. And if you say like, hey, this is just an expensive Q7, in a way that is correct, as well as the Lamborghini Urus is an expensive RSQ8. And that's actually a good thing, because this technology sharing brings a lot of advantages and also reliability. Here, the S version of the Bentayga comes with 22-inch wheels in black styling. I mean, you can hide whole people in these holes of the wheels. This is really massive. Also black accentuations right here and black mirror caps. The color for today here is cherry red. Can we take a second and enjoy this image composition? Nice, isn't it, right? With a beautiful tree, yes, here in Rome, Italy for you today. The Bentley Bentayga with this retro image and design here, the oval tail lamps. Soon, very interesting feature to come about this one. And other than that, rather clean design here, then sporty black accentuations with a diffuser style for the S model and also black exhaust tips. Is that a job for the Autogefühl fake exhaust police? It's a tough question. So the one side has a mechanical link, the other one is, there's like something of a gap. Maybe not the typical case for a fake exhaust. I think the police could stay home. Or what do you think? And this is the turning indicator view from the rear. I mean, where have we seen that? Never actually. So you have round or oval turning indicators, but they're still cascading. That's something, isn't it? Oh, we also have the black spoiler here in the rear, here also done with carbon fiber. This is the car key, and probably you can use this as self-defense or also as weightlifting replacement, but that's the cool thing, because everything tells you, yeah, I'm not small, but I'm worthy to be the key fob of this vehicle. And the same also counts for the door handles, thick and just listen to that, just the sound when you pull them out actually. Plop. That is just so beautiful. And you've already seen here, this does have a soft close, magic. But let's also listen to the slamming sound, because that also sounds great. And have you seen that? This one even can be slammed and then still closes softly. Inside of the doors, then in your bespoke color combinations. This is also the name sound system. And yeah, one of my favorite features, always here the high floor mats. This just brings so much premium feel, and also here this brushed aluminum S entry badge. Here also with a sportier perforated steering wheel at the side, red contrast stitches, here then with this red contrast scheme here as well. The cool thing to me, why it would be my favorite Bentayga, standardly these seats would come with Alcantara inserts. They haven't put one here now, probably to tease my patience or something. But as I said, the S seats usually with Alcantara in the middle to have the sportier material. Of course, you should go for that to have the sportier and more cozy driving experience and to give them the signal for more animal friendliness.
What I love about all vehicles of this platform is that you kind of have this, even entry sill. So the sill is kind of at the same level than the base floor. Just here there's a level difference because of the high floor mat. It's just creates a very special feeling, and indeed super comfortable. As for the seating position, headroom here to the side with 1.86 or 6.1, no problem. Steering wheel can be adjusted here with this rather tiny metal knurled stick. So it's really rough actually. You shouldn't move your skin over it, but that, it just resonates quality. And also on the steering wheel, real buttons and also with metal knurling. I just love that. It is a modern vehicle, but still it gives you this retro quality touch. That's what I appreciate most. And here the controls for the seats, they look like an airplane cockpit by themselves, don't they? Interior overview, clean but sensual here with a swinging line, contour stitches and also these analog details. To me, this is the perfect mix. You have a modern touchscreen, your Apple CarPlay and your Android Auto. At the same time, you have a manual volume knob, you have an analog clock, you have real buttons at the steering wheel. To me, this is how it's supposed to be. I want modern tech, yes, but since I'm driving that vehicle, I also want real buttons to control easier while driving. What's your take on that? Digital instruments, they look quite fancy. Also reminders of Audi. And here you can also switch the view in the middle. Then you can also have the map full screen. Well, almost full screen here. In this case here, the left side stays actually. That looks funny, doesn't it? And here now the analog clock in the interior next to these, these metal valves for the air vents, which you can press in and also put out again. Infotainment system, here we can see this is then the Bentley internal map, and that looks definitely VW Group. You can see here in the Eternal City. So this is the home, but again it could be a little bit faster, so it doesn't look most modern, and also could react quicker. Definitely you can also have climate control in here, but you have these buttons, just use them. You will probably also then use the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Here we go. Why doesn't it directly hop to that? Is when you're here in the main menu and then click Apple CarPlay, then you can directly access it. However, if you use the hotkey here, go back to the main, and then for example hit phone here, you always have to confirm, yes, Apple CarPlay. That's really annoying. And then you have the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto here. Let's go to integration and let's listen to this name sound system. Oh wow, awesome. This has such a rich and true sound. Also, sonorous bass-like, but not too much bass that it would be like, gangster style or something. This is beautiful. And my favorite Audi AC is also in here. Clicking sound, listen to that. Beautiful. And the metal knurling around. This is my favorite AC unit. You can also get it in the Audi A4 or in the Audi A5 at this moment. I hope still in the future. I would just love to keep this. Wouldn't you as well? Middle console is inductive charging pad. Then here cup holders. They are also adaptive, so that's cool. Then start stop engine, and also here you can select the driving modes. Bentley driving mode is just when I say like, this is how we decide how this car is supposed to drive actually. Then here also nice background, for example, for the front cubby hole, and then you can fold this up and have your connections USB-C for the cable. For the panoramic roof you have a shade that goes all the way, and then the panoramic roof here goes halfway kinda. Of course the bespoke styling is also continued here in the rear next to the sound system, and you have the very same color combination just like in the front. And of course here these high floor mats also for the rear passengers. I love them. Well, you get in this vehicle either with socks or with freshly cleaned shoes. The latter one at this moment here, my soft touch leatherette shoes. And the cool thing is here that you can adjust the back part more, lying back or more upright. You can also slide it forward for a little bit more trunk length, but usually you want to enjoy more legroom, and that's
definitely sufficient right here. It's really comfortable. You sit upright, and to me, actually, it's even more comfortable than in one of the luxury sedans. And there is a big middle tunnel, yes, but sitting in the middle part would also easily work. And headroom, this is the one with the panoramic roof. It gets close because of that, sporty silhouette, but with 1.86 or 6'1", 5 tall adults can easily be here. And your control central here, USB-C chargers. This is then the 12-volt power supply. And look at that, the cover for the 12-volt power supply. Yeah, that's the thing I love about these vehicles, actually. And you have here then another touchscreen. That's maybe more complicated than having just, normal dials, but yeah, at least it looks fancy, doesn't it? And just how you know it from sedans, you can press this button and then you can also take the whole thing out and have this iPhone maybe with you. Yeah, then you can hold it in your hand and here you can control the temperature wirelessly. And to me, the even more cool thing is the back part, because look at that. Metal knurling at the back part. Yeah, that's the stuff. Opening the trunk here, pressing that the Bentley logo, it's a very cool solution. And then we have in length approximately 120 in meters or 47 inches, and the width here is about 115 or 46 inches. So actually very well usable, not too high, but here, this is high. This nice high floor cover. This is a beautiful thing. I would always enjoy every day when I have this vehicle actually. Below, there's, a little more sound equipment and so on. And you can also fold the seats here, at least in this version here with the 5-seater. And then we have a total length of, that's, exactly here, this typical 2 meters or 78 inches. So the whole ruler goes in there. And here we have the nice puddle light projected underneath the door. Here the S entry badge is, by the way, illuminated at night. And at night we have here red ambient lighting, also in the rear. In the front, mainly at the inductive charging pad and at the inside of the doors. You get the Bentayga as the 3-liter V6 plug-in hybrid or as the 6-liter W12. That's still existent, yes. But here we have the 4-liter V8, 550 horsepower, and in the S version you have an acceleration figure not of 4.5 but of 4.4 seconds. That's half a second less quick than, or less quick, could also be named slower, half a second slower than the W12. However, a little bit less of weight then, and also the suspension setup here is stiffer with this air suspension here with the Bentayga S, about 15%. Look at this, the dampening of the motor. I mean, this is so huge, it's the largest one I've ever seen. It's so soft and so thick, and it has a quilted structure like seats on the inside. Welcome to Thomas's Performance Driving Lounge with the Bentley Bentayga S. Ooh, whoa, yeah, what about that? So that's impressive. Definitely sound-wise, this 4-liter V8. All-wheel drive, of course, with the rear-wheel bias. But the road here is quite uneven. 22-inch wheels. Yeah, they get even bigger nowadays. 22-inch wheels and the stiffer ride, 15% stiffer, and also these anti-roll controls. You feel that because the car does stay upright all the time. It does not lean at all, although it is an SUV. That's of course a really cool thing on the cost of comfort and of course also on the cost of fuel economy. I did drive a lot of motorway to the way to this nice road here, and even if you have predominantly motorway, little city mix, 13 liters or more kilometers, that's even a good one. So 18 mpg US, 22 mpg UK. Yeah, that's of course what you have to swallow at the minimum scale actually. But you do get this sporty ride. It's a lot of fun, precise steering, great handling indeed. The platform itself, told you earlier, really convinced of that, no matter which car of that family you go for. It's just again when you want rather this vehicle to have a like a very soft air carpet-like ride, then actually you do lose it here with the S version. I would like to have the Alcantara seats now because they would keep me tighter in the corners. Of course, on the animal skin surface you slide around a little bit more, so that definitely helps with that sporty setup. So you need to want that extra, that sporty setup. From the feeling I get from the road, the thing is, however, it is more the wheels than the suspension. Because it's an air suspension, you can live somewhat with it if it's just a little bit stiffer. That would actually be okay. It is indeed about the wheels. So if you seek a Bentayga, or also you can transport that from to the Iris Q8 or the Porsche Cayenne, stick with smaller wheels. You won't lose so much sportiness, but you do lose comfort here with the bigger wheels. Interesting thing though, I think for Bentley, I think I like the rattling noise in the vehicle and also the road noise from the tires. Astonishingly high. So, to be honest, like the Audi SQ8, Audi RSQ8, or the Porsche Cayenne, they are not cheap at all, but way cheaper than this one. And as for this aspect, they seem to be even more refined than here, the Bentley. That's the thing. Definitely having a lot of fun. The seats are not most comfortable here now about sporty driving. Does apply a lot of power to the lumbar area actually, and yeah, once again, because you slide in them quite easily, you can also put the bolsters a little bit more narrow. This will help in fast driving definitely, but yeah, once again, the Alcantara seats, they would definitely help even more. So cool thing is really the precise steering, and of course also that power from the engine. But we are perfection in detail we see in interior details like these, but we also find some imperfection. It's also something that has been the Bentley charm for a lot of years. Now just enjoy some more corners here with me. Yeah, gets quite rough. So sometimes then you ask yourself, whoa, is this still an air suspension? Yeah, it still is, but again, stiff tone. But to me, once again, these huge wheels, they look... Sorry, I just want to hear the sound. They look amazing, these wheels, but I think they're a little bit too big. Then maybe 20 or 21 inch would be better than for having a better overall, compromise of sportiness and comfort. Well, I do my best today to look Italian. Acceleration to the motorway. That was 60 to 130. Woo! Yeah, I mean, that's what I enjoy about Europe, or about the positive side of globalization. A German driving a British car in Italy, it sounds just lovely, right? So, yeah, beautiful evening sunlight here, close to Rome, and we can enjoy some motorway driving here and also do some more agile driving. Just few notes here to the motorway driving, 130 kilometers an hour. Noise insulation is of course superb, really great. And we are in the sports mode. When we go to Bentley mode, it's a little bit more silent from the engine, and also suspension goes a little bit softer. I can actually also change my glasses now that you can see my eyes, and that lane keeping assist that might help me here when I'm steering with one hand. So you can activate or deactivate it, and the lane keeping assist here is actually quite helpful, So it's not too obtrusive. It does intervene a little bit, but not too much, so rather conservative, and I think that's a good thing then for a sporty vehicle, so you still have the feeling that you are in control, and you can always deactivate it just with one click here. That's great. Blind spot monitor here, nice integration. When I hit the turning indicator, it also flashes, beautifully done. Here the comfort with the stiffer air suspension and the anti-roll control, which is also built in this car, and the 22-inch wheels here on the well-made motorway. It's actually quite okay, but in the city you do lose comfort. You don't have this air carpet riding feeling. This is definitely the sportiest Bentayga version out there, and you lose comfort when the road is not that even as it is right here. But you do gain definitely the spottiness. And let's discuss. I would like to know from you, is this, or a vehicle like this, a dinosaur for you and it belongs to the past? Or is it still a dream of a car and perfection in detail to you? Tell me in the comments. Well, Bentley is going electric, that's for sure already. And also they are developing animal skin alternatives for the interior. And I also think, why can't we somehow combine both, making a sustainable luxury world, having great perfection to detail, still analog things in the vehicle, things we can touch, where you get a great feedback and so on, and still can feel that the car would be alive, but at the same time use less resources and also be better to the environment. I think both is possible. Would like to know what you think.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Autogefühl. Today with me, AJ and Jonas. On today's episode, boy, we got something special for you guys. This is the all-new Mercedes-Maybach GLS 600. Let's take a look at the front, and isn't it imposing? First thing you'll notice is, of course, the Maybach grille, which has these very long vertical slats. They taper towards the bottom. At the top, it's almost like an oar shape. Of course, it's a little bit plasticky, but it has to be. I mean, it has to meet pedestrian regulations for crash norms. If this was actually chrome and steel and metal, or, it would probably shred the person it crashed into. But nevertheless, it looks really regal, almost like the Parthenon or the Pantheon. And how great is it to finally see the hood ornament back on a Mercedes SUV? I think it's a great combination. Of course, you do have the radar sensor for the adaptive cruise control, the advanced driver assistance systems right here in the middle. But I really like the spindle shape grille in the lower part of the bumper. Everything about this SUV is razzle-dazzle, and we start right here in the front. Of course, you do have the full LED multi-beam lights, which have a really nice look, almost a purple-blue indigo tinge. The GLS 600 is 2.1 meters wide, 5.2 meters long, and it weighs about 2.7 tons. I mean, this Maybach version, you get actually the Maybach wheels. Right now we do have the winter tires and the winter wheels here. They're still 22 inches. They still look really big and they fill the wheel arches really well. But the special wheels kind of mimic the design that we saw in the front grille. So these spokes will also have that oar-shaped design. But I think this looks really good. I mean, everything about this SUV is about opulence and extravagance. And we can start with the paint job. I mean, I think it's a beautiful dual-tone paint, but just the paint costs an extra 21,000 euros. That white Napa leather interior, 16,000 euros. And these are individually more expensive than my car. Just boggles the mind, but that's the point. This is the ultra-luxury segment. As we go further down the side, well, again, it's a GLS, so it's based on the same GLS platform, which means the size of the body on the outside is the same. Very flat, smooth design lines, not too many sharp edges anywhere, only a little bit down here. I do like that shiny chrome, and it's pretty cool. I'll show you in a minute what it can do. But a really tall shoulder line, really tall roof line, roof rails as well, and a very sharp rake, almost a vertical for the last pillar here, and of course with the special Maybach logo. Here at the back, it's a very tall vertical tailgate. Of course, this has the air suspension. You can lower this to make it easier to load items, but as it stands, it's a very tall stance. I do like the rear lights, again LED, with this nice detailing on the inside. Further down, another special Maybach feature is for the exhaust tips. You see that we have a horizontal fin with the chrome color on both sides. So, what do you think? Doesn't this look like a land yacht? Let's take a look under the hood to see what powers this behemoth. The GLS 600 Maybach gets a unique tune of the 4-liter bi-turbo V8 petrol engine, which makes 558 PS or metric horsepower and 713 Newton meters of torque. It's mated to a 9G-tronic Autobox and a 4-wheel drive system, the 4MATIC, which can split power between the axles in a complete 0 or 100%. This also comes with a 48-volt EQ boost, which is a starter alternator electric hybrid system to fill in the gaps and add a little bit of extra torque. It can therefore do 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 4.9 seconds and a Vmax of 250 kilometers per hour, even though it weighs 2.7 tons. Don't expect it to be frugal though, at least it's going to consume 10 liters per 100 kilometers. Now, of course, when you think of Maybach and air suspension, you remember the magic body control, wherein there's a scanner and a camera on the front which scans the road surface up ahead and preemptively positions the suspension where it needs to be so that the body does not move at all. And in fact, we'll talk about this later on, there's a special Maybach mode which enhances luxury and comfort in the rear seats. But this is a GLS, and inherently it's supposed to be a little bit of an off-roader. And to do that, there's actually another function with the air suspension, which, well, makes the SUV dance like this. Now this might look funny, but the truth is this is very useful when you're going off-road and you're stuck in sand or snow or loose surfaces. You might have seen in other situations where people jump up and down on the bumper of their SUV, and this helps push the wheels down and helps get traction. And this, well, it does it automatically for you. And sitting inside, this is a lot of fun. Here we have the key fob. To be honest, it's a little bit underwhelming because this is the same key fob that you get even in an EQA. But you get the Mercedes-Benz logo on the front, the Maybach logo on the back. You can put it in your pocket, keyless entry, so you touch the door handle, it automatically opens. And then when you open the door, well, the running board sticks out. If the suspension is a little bit higher, it will kneel down for you, and getting inside then was super, super easy. Let's take a look at the door. Again, very large, very heavy door, double pane windows, lots and lots of extra sound deadening. But to be honest, the front part of the GLX 600 Maybach is still very much GLS only. The Maybach really starts in the backseat, and we'll come to that in a minute. Very plush materials on the top here. This is, of course, a leather option. In fact, this is the white Napa leather, which is a 16,000 euro option. Typical with Mercedes, all the seat controls are right here on the door panel. Heated, ventilated, massaging. You get the Burmester audio system as well. Large door pockets, and further down at the door sill you see the Maybach logo as well. Taking a look inside, wow, well, that white color just brings so much light and airiness into the cabin. Of course, not to forget that huge panoramic sunroof. We get, of course, two screens for the cockpit and the infotainment. There's a lot of wood on the inside, very evidently also right on the steering wheel. The seats have that brown piping. They also are perforated, so again, because of the ventilation, it really helps. Really soft and plush. Thick carpets as well. And if we look near the foot pedals, we also have the metal Maybach logos on the pedals. Getting inside is really easy. Again, thanks to this floorboard, you just ever so gracefully step into your yacht. And yeah, immediately you feel like you own the world. At least that's how I feel. And honestly, of course, the S-Class Maybach or the Maybach Pullman, based on the S-Class, that long limousine, are probably more conventionally considered luxury. But this taller seating position, I think, also very well complements the luxury, ultra-luxury segment. So, case in point here with this GLS 600. But again, most of this is very similar to the GLS 600. You get the dual screens for your instrumentation as well as the touchscreen, also controlled with a touchpad. Let's take a look at the steering wheel. Like I mentioned, this comes with the optional wood on the steering wheel, which I think is so nice. Of course, it's a bit smooth and glossy and not necessarily very grippy, but this is not a sports car. So I think it looks really regal. You have a lot of controls on the left-hand side to change settings on the virtual instruments as well as the head-up display. And on the right-hand side, you have controls for the main screen and your volume and phone. Also, this car comes with a lot of advanced driver assistance systems, which also you can control on the steering wheel itself. There's paddle shifters as well for the automatic transmission behind this. This being still a Mercedes, the gear selection is on the stock on the right. The main instruments are also highly configurable. First of all, you can change the entire look and feel of this by using the Styles and Displays menu. And of course, you have things like Sport, Progressive, but I think you really just want to keep it in the Classic, which is what really reflects and highlights this Maybach style. So let's keep it back there. But even within this menu, you still have options like, for example, in the middle, if you want to see consumption or you want to see other displays like the time or the speed. You can even change the display on the right hand side to show something else like what level the suspension is in, and same thing for that on the left. So highly configurable to choose what you want, and I think it's something you'll play with in the first few days, but then kind of leave it in one way and then forget about it. A very large touchscreen in the middle, but of course if you don't want to use it as a touchscreen, there's a really nice trackpad in the bottom. You have options to connect your phone. The navigation is also really easy to understand. It's fairly slick and fast. There's radio, and of course you can set up the different type of massage that you want, and you also have a lot of nice ambient lighting which you can select here as well. For the color and the brightness as well can be changed. There's also app connectivity with your smartphone using Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, which is always easy to use. And yes, generally very nice system. It's still not the new BMW X that we see, but I like this, and it really is complemented with that trackpad, so you don't have to always use the touchscreen. In true Mercedes fashion, we have the vents located right here. In this case, they're 4. They're very quadrangular. Further down, always I love to see physical buttons and toggles and switches for the climate menu, which is really easy to use. A large tambour door, which slides away with this really nice knurled finish metallic latch to reveal an inductive phone charging port, a couple USB-C ports, a versatile adaptive cup holder, which can be cooled or heated to keep either your coffee warm or your drink cold. As we move further up here, this is the main trackpad that I said it's very easy to use. It gives you a haptic feedback, a little vibration. There's a clicking sound. You can press it down for the home or to go back, things like that. You have the drive mode selector toggle here, volume roller, which again, very nice knurled finish, and shortcut buttons for your other functions like the parking camera, navigation, and so on. Beautiful Maybach knob here to rest your palm while you make the controls, and some more further controls for the traction control, the suspension are also located right here. A very plush center armrest, which is not adjustable, but you press this button and it opens to reveal a large cubby hole with a couple more USB-C ports. Oh boy, now I'm super excited to check this out. Of course, the minute you open the back door, even the floorboards extend, and it's a very inviting large entrance. And that's also because, yes, this is the same GLS platform, but the GLS, let's remember, is also a 3-row configuration. So instead of having 3 rows, they have moved the second row further back, and now you have just these 2 business class, kind of first class lounge seating here. So there's a lot more space between the front row and the second row, or the front and the back seats in this case, because there is no third row. Again, plenty of sound deadening everywhere. Anyway, enough chit chat. Let's get inside. Wow. I'm going to move this pillow ever so slightly, ever so carefully over there so I can get more comfortable here. Large resounding thud as the door closes. I'm completely cocooned right now. I can, of course, lower these blinds. I can also of course, open this large panoramic sunroof to let in a lot of light. This light-colored roof liner, it is in leather, unfortunately, which is not very eco-friendly, but this color, at least, brings so much more airiness into the cabin. Even the top here and along the speakers here, there's more ambient lighting. The ambient lighting is also here on the front seat, along the side of the doors, and even around me, around the back here. So it's really cocooning me. When they say ambient lighting, it is very ambient because it's everywhere. But check this out. There's a button here. I press it once. The front seat moves away. My seat gets reclined. The footrest raises. I don't want to dirty these 16,000 euro seats, so I'm going to keep my shoes away from them. But it goes up, and now I definitely feel like I own the world. There is no doubt in my mind at this moment. Again, I can retract everything back with a simple push of this button over here. The poor passenger over there, probably squished, but who cares? A lot of useful features here as well. Of course, you can see there's a large tablet. I can push this button because, of course, why would you lift a tablet? I mean, you know, there's a button here to lift it for you. Then you can use this. This controls a lot of things here in the back seat. For example, the climate control, because I'm too lazy to reach down there to change the climate. This obviously has 4 zones, so each passenger gets their own completely independent air conditioning climate zone. There's a lot of other things I can set, like, for example, the navigation itself, or change the menus. Of course, I have 2 large screens here as well, touch screens as well to watch media. And down here, I have a inductive phone charging port. I have a couple USB-C ports on either side. If I move this door away, there's a couple beverage holders. Also, special holders here for the champagne flutes, which come with this car, which you can, they will be clamped down here automatically. And then, of course, with a simple push, that door closes itself. Down here, there are 2 very gorgeous, well-engineered, well-machined trays with anti-slip grip material, also rubber along the edges to make sure that your laptop doesn't slide away. But just look at the quality of this metal, probably aluminium it feels like. Everything is damped and then it clicks. You know, there's a nice click between these different stages, and then it gets tucked away. More storage, a 230 volt power outlet as well, which is useful. And of course, let's not forget, I own the world now. So every now and then I want to have some champagne to celebrate. So you can open this down. There would be 2 champagne flutes over here, and you have your own refrigerator back there to keep, you know, the best bottle, the most expensive bottle of champagne. Of course, you can even choose how much you want it to be cool. There's so many settings. But the funny thing, which, you know, I gotta hand it to them, is if you look down here, there are ISOFIX points. So yes, you can put child seats in both of these seats here. Let's take a look in the boot. Automatic tailgate, obviously. You're looking at 520 liters of capacity, minus a few because of the refrigerator. Because of the air suspension, you can also use the switch here to lower the height of this floor and raise it again so that you can load and then unload easily. You also have a 12-volt power socket. But a very important thing to keep in mind is this entire section here is fixed. The seats don't fold, and you cannot remove or move this. And that's because in a usual car, there's a lot of sound that comes from the rear. And because of this open space here, it creates a lot of noise in the cabins. This is where a lot of the noise comes in from. And of course, being a Maybach and being luxury, it's all about having a quiet interior. All that sound deadening, a lot of it has gone into this solid piece here. And even this is very thick, and a lot of sound deadening here. A lot of sound deadening along this as well. So yes, you lose some space, especially with this, and you can't fold the seats down. But because of the large GLS platform and the lack of any third row of seats, you can still fit quite a lot of suitcases here in the back. All right, let's start off our drive here on the Autobahn. The first thing I notice is the lack of any sensation. It's really like a sensory deprivation tank in here. I hear nothing from the outside. Double glazing, the immense amount of sound deadening, it just disconnects you completely from the outside world. Even this big engine is barely audible. It's barely ticking over at just over 1,000 RPM, just wafting along effortlessly. That suspension is also doing a phenomenal job. Again, it's scanning the road up ahead in the front. I have it, of course, in the Maybach mode. So what it's doing is it's trying to optimize the suspension and the height itself preemptively before I come to that part of the surface of the road to maintain a completely steady and stable ride here for the cabin. And it's really disconcerting because I don't feel anything of what's happening on the road. It's completely a disconnect. But I guess this is as close to floating as you'll ever get in a car. The steering is also very vague in this kind of mode, but again, this is not supposed to be sporty. It's just giving you a very gentle feedback of what the tires are doing. But again, it's just incredibly quiet. You also have a lot of advanced driver assistance systems. You have active lane keeping assist, adaptive cruise control, traffic sign recognition, and they all work in conjunction to really give you a semi-autonomous kind of a driving experience. You also have something called pre-safe, wherein the car will sense if you're about to have a collision or an accident, which is completely unavoidable, and will, again, preemptively tighten the seat belts. If you're lying down in the reclined position in the rear seat, it has special airbags that it will pre-deploy, and basically it just kind of, like the word says, pre-safe. It senses if you're about to have a collision and prepares for that. I also really like the navigation because you have the augmented reality here on the screen, so it shows you the turns that are coming up displayed directly onto your the screen here, so you can kind of make very quick decisions and know exactly which road that you have to turn into. Small things as well, small details that I like. Even though it's an option, I do love the double blinders, the visors here. So you have one on the top, which can also extend, and you have another one to put up into the front. So again, attention to detail is very important in this class of car. Now we're going around some gentle curves here on a winding country road. The steering does provide weight. It feels quite artificial, but it's just there to kind of tell you how much load each tire is on. In the Maybach mode, the throttle response is definitely dulled. Again, not because of economy purposes, but to make it very comfortable. In fact, it will even set off in second gear so that you don't feel that shift from first to second, which is quite a prominent shift in most cars and most transmissions. So you don't feel that kind of nod from that shift. So it just starts off in second gear. So it's a very, very smart system. And I think, again, it's the best suited for the personality of the GLS 600 Maybach. But 558 horsepower is definitely a lot. But more than performance, it's about effortless cruising. So you put your foot down, it's a very gradual acceleration. Of course, there is a sport mode, there's even an off-road mode. But even under braking, like right now, brake pedal feel it's a little bit numb, but it gives you confidence. But what kind of is, again, takes a little bit of getting used to is how the body just stays so level. Another thing I notice is because of how tall the sides of this SUV are, the cars that are passing, I can feel the wind that they're pushing onto this large surface a little bit more prominently. The visibility is really great. This tall seating position, again, I think really suits this ultra-luxury segment quite well. I have a great view out forward with this large windshield. That head-up display is also fantastic. I really like the Mercedes head-up display. They're very vivid. The colors are bright. It's very easy to read, and it's actually quite large. It spans a large expanse on your windshield, so it's very easy to see. The numbers are big, you don't have to squint, and you have large windows on the side. Of course, you have a 360-degree parking camera, so parking is really easy. We're in a narrow little village here, rather, and it doesn't feel too big. That being said, though, this does not have rear axle steering, which is not, in the beginning I was a little bit concerned, especially considering the expensive wheels, the expensive paint job, just the overall expense. Damaging something in narrow villages like this would have been quite disastrous. But to be honest, the front wheels turn, the steering angle is really significant, as is the case with most Mercedes cars. So it doesn't really, I'm not really missing that rear axle steering at the moment. You have to be careful in park garages because of course you can't swing the back around. But otherwise, it just is so effortless. The steering rack is a little bit slow, but again, it kind of gives it more of a sense of occasion. Just driving this does seem like a sense of occasion. It does feel like a land yacht. The seats are supremely comfortable. You have a plethora of different options and settings to set it up the way you want. But they're very supportive, very comfortable. Everything you touch, everything. My knee is resting against the center console. That's also soft and padded. This armrest is soft and padded. It also arcs up right here, the center console. So it's really comfortable to place your wrist on this as well. They've really thought of these little details. Yeah, on the whole, here in the front, yes, it is still very GLS, but I still feel the Maybach as well. But what's more interesting is the back seat. So let's take a look at that. All right, to help me understand how it's like there in the back seat, I got my buddy Jonas sitting in the back seat. So Jonas, first thing, there's a button on your right side on the door which has a reclined symbol on it. Press that and see what happens. Yeah, I can also see the seat here moving forward. Also on the right door, there's a little switch to raise the window shade. You can go ahead and try that as well if you would like. There you go. So, Jonas, do you feel like you're the owner of the world?
Yeah, now I'm the owner of the world.
Now, Jonas has a pretty good experience in these kinds of cars. So, Jonas, you've also sat in the Rolls Royce Cullinan. So, compared to that, let's start off with the sound insulation. So, we spoke about how much of sound deadening has gone into pretty much every aspect of the Maybach. How does this compare, in your opinion, with the Cullinan?
I really think it's even better. I mean, the Rolls Royce is already pretty good, but as I imagine, this one is really like 10-15% better than the Rolls Royce. 10-15%.
Well, the Maybach was benchmarked against the S-Class Maybach, which is one of the most quietest production sedans in the world. So it's a pretty good place to start, and they said they have accomplished that level of sound deadening. Now, another important part, Jonas, of the Maybach is that Maybach mode, which we are in now, which is optimizing the transmission. Like I said, it starts off in second gear, as well as the air suspension for the back seat. So not even me, it's for you. I'm your chauffeur today. So do you feel any change? Do you feel, how much of on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most stiffest, bounciest suspension ever, and 1 being the softest, like you're sitting on a waterbed, how comfortable is the back now, especially with this adaptive suspension?
Yeah, it's definitely 1 to 2, so it's super comfortable. And the example is pretty good. It really feels like a waterbed. It's really like floating, like really big waves. I mean, you're still moving. It's not like you're not moving.
Sure.
But it's really like big waves going, and you're floating.
Absolutely, we cannot defy physics, but again, driving this, even for me here as your chauffeur today, it's very relaxing. And because of this quiet cabin, you don't have to shout to communicate with me, you know? We're having a nice conversation. We're not having to raise our voices. I don't have to turn around to talk to you. But how does it feel with the large panoramic roof, with the white interior color? Does it feel spacious or do you feel cramped? You're a pretty tall guy. How tall are you again?
I'm 1 meters 93.
That's over 6. It's over 6 foot. So how is the space back there?
I mean, I just lowered the shades, but the windows are still tainted, and this. I mean, if they were like clean, it would be really open space. But now it's still like a small cave you're in. You know, you have a good view outside because the windshield is pretty big, and also at the sky. But it's more like a very comfortable cave.
Cave. You're right. The tinted windows on the sides will definitely hinder that. But okay, so it sounds like definitely the place to be is in the back. I'm not going to let you enjoy that for too long. So why don't you come back here in the front?
Sure.
Let's summarize today's episode of the Mercedes-Maybach GLS 600. Prices start at around 180,000 euros, but as we talked about, once you start adding options, you're easily looking at numbers on around 250,000 euros. That's quite a lot of money, but it still does undercut some of its competitors, especially the Rolls Royce Cullinan. So, at the end of today's drive, we were getting numbers around 18.5 liters for 100 kilometers, which is of course a lot, but if you're buying this SUV, I don't think you really care about that. There's a lot to love with the new Maybach. I like the interior. The back seat is where the Maybach really comes to life in this GLS platform. Ultimately, if you have this kind of money and you want this ultra-luxury SUV, you don't really have to stretch for the Rolls Royce. This does almost everything that you would require, and it looks fantastic too.
Well, you guys wanted to see me reviewing here a Rolls Royce, and here we are today with the Rolls Royce Cullinan Black Badge, the more sinister, more performing version of the Rolls Royce Cullinan, this first Rolls Royce SUV. Please join us in exterior, interior, and the driving experience on German Autobahn. Here today on Autogefühl, your #1 resource for in-depth car reviews and the #1 community to discuss cars. With Thomas, as you know, in Full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go. Looking at the front, you see the typical Rolls-Royce grille with the vertical structure, very strong and catches a lot of views when you look around people. Conservative design of the LED headlamps, LED daytime running light in the top part, and the black badge version adds some dark features. So we have a lot of black background, for example, also Emily or Spirit of Ecstasy. The figure is all darkened out, so a more sinister look indeed. We have also black paint today, but this does not have to be the case for the black badge. So you can also get the black accentuation and so on with a black badge, but pick a totally different paint. That's possible. You can also make Emily disappear, for example, with closing or opening the car again. But you can also do it intentionally from the interior, from the infotainment system. 5'34", 17'5", or 210 inches the length, 2.7 tons is the weight, and it's using an all aluminum platform from the Rolls-Royce Phantom, not from the BMW X7, although there are some, technology features that are being shared. Then you can see here the black badge, 22-inch wheels, also with black accentuations, red brake calipers as a contrast. Of course, this Rolls-Royce logo here stays upright and really rather a box form. Then the black paint has accentuation here in golden or yellow color right there. Of course, a typical Rolls Royce opening here of the doors, where you can, by the way, also close it again with pressing the knob here on the outside. Then the soft close, well, if it works. In this case it didn't want to. Let's test again. Here we go. So, and then the back door, of course, suicide door, this opening, and here also you can press the knob then on the outside to close it again. Really heavy, of course, these doors. Here again, the very upright design, standing C-pillar, moving forward a little bit. And yeah, I mean, the massive door handles, they serve as an own design function, so to say. About the suspension, standard air suspension there with the black badge, it's tuned a little bit stiffer. Then you have the rear axis steering also as standard, in the steering with the rear axis in the opposite direction, in the front wheels at slower speeds, in the same direction as the front wheels for more stability at higher speeds. Then there's also an anti-roll bar, so anti-roll control, that the car is being kept a little bit more upright. Let's see how that one turns out in driving, but first let's finish the features. In the rear here, an upright design as well, kind of box-alike too. Then the vertical tail lamps, interesting, the detailed work on the inside. Black badge also comes again with the black accentuations. Here, for example, also the black outer exhaust tip, and yeah, the fake exhaust police is also active here. The real exhaust are then on the inside. And by the way, this is the first Rolls Royce, not equipped with this vehicle, but you can get it, which can also use a towing bar, maybe for a trailer or something, maybe for your boat or so, possible with the Cullinan. And here we go with the 6.75 liter V12, 571 horsepower, or here 600 horsepower in the black badge version, a little bit tuned, 5.2 seconds, or then here 4.9 seconds acceleration figure to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour, all-wheel drive with rear-wheel bias and 8-speed automatic gearbox. Well, soft close is key here, but when you use the electric closing of the doors, there's still a nice closing sound. Now to the interior, here inside of the doors, very high-class door handles and so on. Pretty cool. Sound system, first speakers there. Then there's a black-yellow design for today, and a rather very conservative steering wheel, also pretty large overall. Instruments here are a mix of digital and analog, you can see. That's where you control the lights. Typical with the high floor mats right there. It's a pretty cool feature, definitely. And then the seats, here we go. So far only animal skin available, and then you might say, oh, they just make your choice, but a friend of mine wanted to have a vegan Rolls Royce and they denied it. They say it needs to be crash tested first, actually. So yeah, stuff like this can also happen, and so far there's no effort from Rolls Royce Works to be animal free for the customers. Let's now get inside. And we have a higher seating position than in any other Rolls Royce, and that's also, one of the reasons you would go for the Rolls Royce SUV. It's even more comfortable because of this upright seating position. You have actually quite good overview. Yes, the hood is of course pretty long, but considering, the size of the car, the overview is not too bad. Here I have the seat, now it's all down, and then still a lot of headroom left. One means 86 or 6'1", no problem. Of course, a lot of electric controls here for the seat, and also electric control for the huge steering wheel right there behind. Shifting levers actually right here, you pull down like this or reverse like up. This is a rather classic approach, and also many other details we see here are in a vintage style, and this is also the scheme of this whole vehicle. And by the way, you can also close the co-driver door from here, and of course your main door, so you can do it from the outside as I've shown you, but you can also just pull it, yes. But then again, here are some buttons that you can close them actually in a more, let's say, sophisticated way. Bye. Now looking at the interior, really central with the contrasting color and the contrast stitches that goes away here, you know, in the curve. That's pretty cool. Then the analog clock right there, rather for the passenger. You can set some hotkeys here. Here, for example, lowering or raising Emily in the front. Yeah, why not having this as a hotkey? When you shut down the car completely, then also here, you know, there will be a cover for the screen. On that, this is basically older BMW technology. Soon more details to that. Steering wheel here once again really large. On the right side you have some, you know, sound control. On the left side you set the cruise control. You can also move the steering wheel in, that you can see a little bit more of the instruments right there. This is a screen that is basically laid behind that. Then some analog features on top of that, so it's a mix, so to say, but the only thing you can adjust there is a very classic way here for consumption and so on in the very, very lower part of the display. Other than that, here with the middle console, this is the vintage style we also know, for example, from the Bentleys, here to open and close the middle air vents. Then in the lower part, you just control it like with colder or warmer like this, but you can also switch the upper and lower part from that. That's actually quite nice, still an analog way of, an useful way. Steering wheel heating, seat cooling, seat heating. There's of course also seat massage available. And in the lower part, you can of course close that here. Other than that, you have adaptive cup holders, but they're quite small. Here to control the infotainment system, and also some hotkeys for lowering or upper, putting the air suspension a little bit up. Off-road mode is also available, setting, you know, the stability system and the all-wheel drive for that, but yeah, not sure how many people will do that. Then there's another cubby hole right there, and here under the massive armrest there's some little space, for example smartphone, USB-C connection or inductive charging. And one more detailed look at the instruments. You can see here some kind of analog styling, but it's all digital for real. Left side RPM and right side, then you can see the fuel status. Then the multimedia system, this app view. We can also take a look at the map of the GPS, and you see here, this is then again the BMW styling, but from older generations, so they are not really keeping up with the technology here. Also, you connect your smartphone just via Bluetooth or then with a cable for, you know, like just streaming music. No Apple CarPlay, no Android Auto available whatsoever. So also lagging behind there. You can, for example, set settings for the Spirit of Ecstasy in the front, raise or lower that, for example, or just doing it automatic with opening and closing the car, for example. Vehicle settings, you can change, for example, some interior and exterior lighting. That's always helpful, of course. Ambient lighting. Yeah, here, for example, warm white or cool white color, but not too many choices right here. And setting brightness all the way up. That's, of course, always the thing. Overall, the infotainment system rather not spectacular, and as I said, not really up to date. The rear view camera, here we go. So we can have this view, then a split view left side with this fake drone view from above. But you can also have a different angle, for example, just at the rear, and then you have it a little bit wider. Or then the classic view again with a split. And a short look at the head-up display right here, speed and allowed speed, but yeah, it's not that sharp from time to time, so not the best one I've seen, but also not the worst one. And then of course the suicide door opening here for the rear seats, and it is very, very plush here in the rear. You have plenty of leg room, so feel really at home here. It's really interesting with the high floor mats. Then you also have electrically folding out, yeah, that barely fits with my feet. Here, this rear entertainment system, you can plug in own sources, or you can just mirror what's happening there in the front. So yeah, it's very interesting, definitely here. You have a lot of space to move around, also from here to the middle seat or to the other seat then. And it's actually, would be very nice to cuddle here. Also looking at the star ceiling, this is an option, by the way, this star ceiling. So 1344 glass fiber lights, so they don't use LED because LED would be a little bit bigger. Here's a more fine structure. There's even a shooting star function. From time to time you can see shooting stars going over the ceiling. And especially for the rear passengers here, this is just a dream to look at. This is really awesome. Here in the middle, you can also, get different features here. In this case, just some storage space and also cup holders. And you can have some more practicability here with reaching through the trunk. Of course, more special features to the trunk is coming up very soon. You have a lower climate unit that also again mirrors the thing we have in the front. But then again, I mean, it's really great luxury atmosphere here, so comfortable also in the rear, and especially being chauffeured at night with this star seating here is surely something very special. Inside of the rear doors you find USB-C supply, and also there you can fold the seats, so like this, and then you can also fold down the seats from here.
And not to forget the umbrellas in 4-door Rolls Royce, like here they're stored in the rear doors, like this here, and in 2-door Rolls Royce they're in the front doors. Here it's a nice clicking system. By the way, when you sit in the rear, there's also a closing button for the rear doors, like here, just hidden behind the pillar, and then you can also electrically close the rear door.
And here we go with the trunk, 560 to 1930 liters would it be in the normal setup. It's a split hatch right here, also with this, let's say, picnic style. We know that from the BMW X5 as well, for example, or the X7. Here, how we can put luggage inside. Doesn't fit in the vertical way here. I'll now explain you why. So, we have a special thing in here. First of all, this one is manual, this cover here. And then you can also flip the seats with these buttons. Just press them once, and then they can be folded. And that normal length right here of the trunk is about 1 meters and 10, excluding, the additional one. And the width here of this part is 1 meter, a little bit more than in the upper part. And when you really want to load things through in your Rolls Royce, no problem here. This is about 2 meters just up to here. Of course, this additional piece here is costing you some trunk height. So the normal height here up to the cover is just about, about 40 centimeters, a little bit less, but it would be more here. This one is almost 20 centimeters. And the thing here is, and that's the surprise for the day, so you need about 14,000 euros or dollars extra. And then you get these additional picnic seats. Yeah, probably the most cost-intensive extra I've ever experienced. You fold this one up, fold this one up. Here we go with the table, and then you can have a proper picnic here in style. Definitely a very, of course, also color fitting to the rest of the interior. Yeah, that's something, isn't it? And I guess you want to enjoy how it disappears again, don't you? By the way, you can also get a glass split, like a glass layer, from the trunk to the inside of the cabin. And the reason for that is because there were obviously customers asking for that when they use the chairs here at the beach in the sand, that the sand then doesn't get to the rest of the cabin, so there's a complete insulation of the cabin. Hey, Thomas's driving part here with the Rolls Royce Cullinan, and we go to the low mode, which is not like for low gear. They just kept this name, so to say, maybe formerly used for going down hills or so for a long time. But here it's kind of the sport mode, so really interesting. We go from 30 kilometers an hour. Let's see how 2.7 tons move with 600 horsepower. That's 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour, and hey, this BMW obviously wants to race us, but now decided to cancel it. Never experienced that on this motorway part. Wow. Interesting. Yeah, first time with the Rolls Royce here doing this acceleration, and also first time being raced. Obviously someone was saying, hey, it's the Rolls accelerating. let's try to beat that. So this was a very smooth acceleration, of course, very powerful, but you felt the weight of the car. Now hard on the, well, not too hard on the brakes, but reasonably on the brakes. But whoa, that's pushing. So definitely feel how much weight is being moved. You also maybe saw that on camera when I was first accelerating, like it was leaning backwards. Very interesting. Deactivating the low mode. Very powerful, of course, this acceleration still, and impressive what they can do. And sound-wise, I'm not too impressed actually from this V12. Are you? Yeah, and then here in the black badge version, 4.9 seconds instead of 5.2 seconds in the acceleration figure. So instead of 571 horsepower, we got the 600 horsepower. Yeah, does it make too much of a difference? Actually, not really. But no, we take that extra horsepower today. In the tunnel, let's go to the low mode again. I'll also raise the right window. Then you also hear the difference, like from the noise insulation. And yeah, let's hit the throttle. Not too noticeable, but now I'm in the tunnel. Listen to how loud it is actually with the window down in the tunnel. And now I'll raise the window up again. And it's so silent you wouldn't even guess we are in a tunnel. That's amazing, you know. And also so cool to look at the star ceiling here. That's actually the best thing when you're sitting in the rear of this vehicle, driving at night, driving in a tunnel, sitting there, looking at the star ceiling. Maybe even then, you know, catching a shooting star from time to time, which is inbuilt in this function. Yeah, to me the most favorite feature here in this vehicle here today. Wow, and then again, this sovereign ride, in this case I can really stress that word. I just used to describe it when cars are very calm, in a subtle way, they convey this supreme feeling. And then I say it's like, you know, a sovereign driving feeling. And yeah, in this case, you can really take that literally. Well, the Queen is not here with me today, but she was yesterday, so best greetings from her. Yeah. So silent. Yeah, I think that's one of the coolest things about this vehicle. Yeah, or maybe just, you know, moving Emily in the top there, you know, down and up again, just for showing purpose. Here when you're in the traffic light, someone next to you, and then like you're moving the figure up and down, so you can play with this stuff, definitely. But powerful, definitely, but I mean, it's not set out to be like a performance vehicle, although it has a lot of horsepower. Like about the agility, you know, we have these technologies with the rear axle steering, the anti-roll bars, as mentioned here, a little bit stiffer in the black badge version, but still it does shake somewhat, you know, hard on the gas, in the corner, whoa. Yeah, that, you just feel the weight, you know, so it's not an agile SUV, doesn't want to be, it's not set out to be, but these modern technologies make it a little bit better, make it a little bit more agile. Really so important that it has this rear axle steering that makes it more agile when you're like here just on the... It creates a special feeling, no? These rear axle steering, so to say, fake a shorter wheelbase, so it feels like having a little shorter wheelbase. Yeah, that's definitely a very, very good asset to this vehicle. And one more acceleration for you when we are already at speed, 90 kilometers an hour. Let's see. That's again 200, and whoa. The steering wheel is very loose, especially at higher speeds, so it doesn't give me the best feedback. Whoa. Yeah. Doesn't feel so much in control actually, but I mean, SUV here at 200 kilometers an hour, still what a noise insulation, so silent here still, due to, you know, although we have that speed. Not too stable here, but the rear axle steering, which goes in the same direction as the front wheels in this case, makes it more stable, so It is suspension-wise more stable than expected, also at higher speeds. But then again, whoa, this, the steering, that could give you better feedback, so it doesn't feel that much connected then. So that's, not supposed to be sporty or something, but still it would also be a safety issue if the steering would convey a better and more direct feeling, I think. Well, what about some city driving experience? And I always check out the reactions of people, and most cars are not really noticed. And recently the Porsche Taycan got a lot of attention and a lot of positive connotation. And here in this case, when you see like some pedestrian cyclists close by and so on, and they look at that car and it's like, what is that? It's more like you're from Mars or something and just landed and yeah. So because in this case, it's actually quite likable no matter which road you take, that this vehicle has never been seen on this road before. Just matter of statistics or figures. So definitely catches a lot of views, no doubt about that. It is extremely silent also in city driving, here just at about 50 kilometers an hour, like 30 miles per hour, and you just hear yourself talking and think like, where's the echo? There's no echo, and you're absolutely insulated from your surroundings here. And it's quite enjoyable because it's such a silent and also still a soft ride. Here the Black Badge has a stiffer setup from the air suspension, and also these 22-inch wheels make some bumps on the road notable then. But then again, the air suspension is fighting these bumps on the road. So the air suspension is actually quite good, yes. And although we have the stiffer setup here in the Black Badge version, you still have like a little bit of this shaking boat-like feeling. However, what's pretty cool is you have the rear axle steering that makes it a little bit easier to ease the car around. Although it's still so wide, you do have problems getting in and out of the basement garage, and then you always look at the wheels. Oh, does it fit? So nothing for narrow cities actually. And yeah, finding a parking spot is, at least in Europe, hardly possible. But the rear axle steering, I really like that feature. Also tested on several other brands. So cool, it gives you more agility, especially at the low speeds, up to 3 degrees, taken from the BMW group. And this really gives a more agile feeling than the car actually is, especially then at lower speeds. Really cool. This anti-roll control, anti-roll bars, they're also installed here. They don't have such a big effect at slow speeds, but more playing effect than at higher speeds, as we talked about earlier. But still, it doesn't shake too much to left and right. I think it's exactly right, but you still feel it's an air suspension, although we are in the Black Badge, in the sportier version, here then with the 600 horsepower. So you more feel like a yacht captain. So, cruising like with an exclusive boat and with this huge hood in front of you, and always looking at Emily then in the black styling or dark styling. So this is really something very unique, and you also get the impression of driving a vintage modern car, I could say it that way, because of the very large steering wheel, which is again reminding us rather of ship. And the steering wheel design is also not too modern, it's rather vintage. You don't have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, then these digital analog instruments, so a lot of different elements are tuned to be, so to say, half analog. Oh, there's a McLaren on the side of the road. So you indeed feel something in between of a vintage and the modern vehicle. And however, here as the first Rolls Royce SUV, you sit more upright, it's really comfortable. It does actually fit the brand, although it's predominantly like a sedan brand. Due to the long hood, it doesn't look too different then, it's just higher. And this upright seating position is actually, playing in enhance of the concept of this very luxury comfort, super silent, very well insulated vehicle. So I think that really does work. You know, there was a great uproar when they first announced they're going for the first SUV, but you know, in this case I can say, yeah, why not? Still a vehicle, you know, still a car, just a little bit higher then. And again, it does fit to the overall Rolls Royce concept, definitely. So, you feel a little bit too big here for the European roads, definitely. So it won't be such an effect when you're driving in the US, at least West Coast or Central. And for example, you know, being sold this vehicle here also to a lot of Arab countries and so on. And it's actually quite a lot of fun to enjoy this silence here all the way through. And yeah, also check out some of the looks you get there, definitely. As for the fuel economy, you can go for some 15 liters or 100 kilometers, but that's already quite good. And this is also one of the rare cases you have equal figures for liters and 100 kilometers and also MPG. So some 15 MPG can be possible, maybe 16 MPG, 17 MPG UK, otherwise like 14, 15 MPG US. But that's again when you keep it rather slowly. When you hit it on the motorway and drive a little bit faster, then rather than like 17 liters or 1 kilometers and even lower than in the MPG figures. It's just the weight, 2.7 tons, can't deny that. And you also feel it when braking. Of course, massive brakes here on there, but can't deny physics, can't deny the brake, you know, just the weight of the car applying on the brakes at some point. Definitely. Actually, quite good overviews, you know, all this upright building style. So, you know, the Rolls Royce I've been driving with the Brave, and this is actually having a better overview here. So, considering it's really a huge vehicle, I have quite a good feeling what's happening around me. Especially, yeah, I know at all times that this hood is really, really large, always reminding me. We're getting again on a little bit of motorway, and we can once again go to this low gear, which is, you know, some really like funny that they still call it low, definitely. And we accelerate from 50 to 80 kilometers now, just a small one, and that's it. So just once on the throttle, and due to the soft air suspension and, you know, the brutal power of this V12, you really like, you know, going backwards. You know, the weight is shifting to the rear axle, and you're that's really a lot of fun. 3.5 tons only allowed on the left lane. Yeah, what did I say? 2.7? Yeah. That's still allowed. So let's go to the left lane where you can drive a little bit faster. There are also some assistance systems built in this vehicle. So you can, for example, activate cruise control right here. Whoa, that's shaking, you know, it's like when you go left. Really interesting. So there we go, cruise control activated. And then you can increase the speed by 1 or 10 kilometers an hour by pressing a little bit further right there. And we can also increase or decrease the distance to car in front of me, so it's an adaptive cruise control. The visualized vehicle there, does it look like a Cullinan? I don't know. Looks all sedan-like, the visualization in there. Yeah, maybe they saved the money for that. I don't know. Yeah, it's getting really narrow here in this lane. Yeah, but I mean, maybe you all can also pick that up on camera here, 80 kilometers an hour, and some cars, and you know, all around me, and it's so silent in here. So this very relaxing silent ride, this is definitely something special. If you want to pay the price for having, you know, so much metal around you, at the same time, yeah, that definitely remains up to you. I can say that, I mean, even if you have all the money in the world, depending on the road situations, it's less or more disturbing. But when you, let's say, drive a normal high-class premium SUV, It's just more agile and versatile. It can also be as comfortable and also good in noise insulation. It's just that the ratio here of what you have on the interior, and of course a lot of space, yes, but also, you know, how much car is around you, it's not a good ratio, you know what I mean? And so sometimes people think, you know, my life's goal is driving a Rolls Royce, and I mean, this car has amazing features and, you know, has an amazing relaxing drive, but like such a possession quite often also comes with disadvantages, and you have to be just aware of that. So now we switch the lane to the right. We also have a blind spot monitor in the side mirrors here. It's also funny how upright the side mirror is. It's also something you rarely see. Yeah, at the moment, no one dares to overtake us. So can I show the blind spot monitor at the moment here? Once again, I set the cruise control to 100 kilometers an hour, which would be also in many countries a normal motorway speed. The head-up display, by the way, is yeah, to me, could be a little bit sharper in the focus, actually. We had that so far with some vehicles. Happens from time to time. Yeah. So let's see. What about like a run off-road protection? Yeah. It tells me it would be on here, and I can also check that here in the assistance systems, all on. Yeah. But obviously that didn't react there. But definitely, once again, city driving and low motorway speed driving. Yeah, amazing experience with this soft ship-alike ride. And now to the conclusion for today with the Rolls Royce Cullinan. Well, of course, this very impressive Rolls Royce design on the exterior, a vintage car with some modern features. In the black badge version, more sinister look, dark accentuations, a little sporty in the ride. The interior, interesting design elements as we know from Rolls Royce. My favorite feature, of course, the star ceiling, and of course very, very comfortable. But of course also not too much space considering the exterior length. Very funny, of course, with this picnic option on the back, but if you pay 14K for that, yeah, I'm not really sure about that. But you know, the arguing is always that customers of this car would not look at the price. Yeah, I don't know. But then again, no alternatives to animal skin, and yeah, if you look at that, then really not sustainable at all, this vehicle. Of course, there are other high-class premium luxury SUVs which are better than in this respect. Driving-wise, it is a very soft and super silent ride. That's one of the key features. So silent, also at higher speeds. Not really stable or agile, but this rear axle suspension makes it more agile than you would maybe expect. So that was actually quite cool. Steering feeling a little bit loose, especially at higher speeds. So more definitely a cruising vehicle, especially with the long hood here in the front. Overall conclusion, I mean, yeah, this with every spec and so on, about almost 400,000 euros or dollars. Is it really worth it? You know, I'm always honest with you, and I have to say no. If I had all the world, I earned all the world's money, I would still not buy this vehicle. I would rather go for Mercedes GLE or BMW X7 because they are the better cars overall, and you can have more fun with it. You go for this vehicle because it is so expensive and it's so exclusive that not so many other people have it. And you know, I'm interested in protecting the environment and also, you know, in protecting animals. But I'm also a car enthusiast, and I'm not a saint, and I don't have the perfect environmental friendly lifestyle. But in this case, I really have to say, considering modern times and the fuel economy of this vehicle, the weight, the exterior to interior dimensions, the amount of cows that were sacrificed for this interior, I really have to say, this is highly doubtful in modern times. And you can create a high modern luxury premium SUV also with a more sustainable approach. That's possible, but so far Rolls-Royce is refusing. They will have to change their attitude towards that, because looking at their, you know, very strong heritage, It's very conservative and it's very exclusive, but you can also transport these features in a more futuristic world, or at least not futuristic, but just up to date. And that they don't even offer Apple CarPlay or Android Auto is another sign that they're really refusing a modern change. Yeah, some new modern technologies, they were actually quite cool, but I think they should have done more to transport this premium luxury heritage more into a modern, sustainable and high-tech world. Or what's your take? Definitely leaves a lot of discussion. Please join us here in the comments.
So which one is the best here today? Which one would I take home? Well, brand image itself is not too important to me, so I will really look at the best vehicle, exterior, interior and the driving experience. Let's get into the deals right there. The BMW X7 basically ticks all the boxes. I think it looks best from all of these SUVs. Interior is also pretty much cleaned up. Yes, in this new facelift, you don't have the AC climate knobs, but you get a modern infotainment system. It offers very good comfort in the seats and also sustainable materials, and it drives exceptionally well. The Mercedes GLS drives a little bit more, I would say, comfortable in the way of less sporty, but then with this floating air suspension ride. So whereas the BMW X7 is a little bit sportier, difference between the GLS and the Maybach GLS is rather that you have this more luxurious rear seating position and the single seat split setup and so on. But the thing is there that you pay so much more money for the Maybach GLS that this difference is not really that much justified, I think. As for the Range Rover, it's a very interesting vehicle. It looks, of course, always stunning with this typical Range Rover ride. Also very soft, floaty air suspension indeed. Then the driving dynamics is not comparable to the German competitors. Yeah, when you get the V8, you at least get the BMW engine, so you can make it in this way more BMW-alike. They also have nice, comfortable seats and also this sustainable material choice. So indeed, as for the animal-free seating, BMW X7 and Range Rover lead it together. The Bentley Bentayga is, let's say, a more conservative choice. You have a lot of still nice clicking dials and knobs and so on. But then again, also a super outdated infotainment system. It also looks, very stunning from the exterior. Interior is also very lovely done. It conveys this analog feeling. That's what I really like about the Bentayga, and it also has a great sporty drive, so chassis wise also amazing indeed. The Rolls Royce Cullinan has the most screaming out from everything, of course. It is the most unique vehicle, but for some, including me, it would always be a little bit over the top. I don't want to show off that much actually. And also price-wise, it is not really justified, and clearly it has the worst driving experience of all of those. You cannot drive sporty at all. Yes, that's not the goal of that, but it's also not more comfortable than the other ones then, and sometimes driving it feels really like just driving a tank actually. Of course, all of these vehicles are truly amazing, but actually when you sum everything up together, like exterior styling, and then also I like a little bit more understatement, and then also the interior build quality, recent reliability standings also, where BMW leads all these manufacturers. Only Toyota and Lexus score better reliability. This is also a very interesting factor to consider, of course. And then, of course, also the driving experience, which gives comfort, but at the same time a lot of driving fun. Then the final choice for the day is, to me, the BMW X7. So which one would be your choice? Tell me in the comments, looking forward to that, and also tune in to more comparison episodes.